we can continue to build up to this game now then with our commentators for this one. It's the former England women's striker Leanne Sanderson and also your commentator Alex Crook. And Alex, we'll come to you first. Obviously we've heard a little bit there about Feyenoord then under Robin van Persie. It's fair to say, when you look at his playing career, he's certainly learned from some of the very best in the business. When you think about Arsene Wenger at Arsenal, Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, albeit for one season, Louis van Gaal as well in the Dutch team. A lot of experienced managers he'll have learned his trade from.
Absolutely, and I did wonder actually if his name might become part of the conversation when it came to the next Manchester United manager, should Ruben Amorim lose his job. But obviously that is more of a nostalgic appointment. But I've got to say, speaking to people who watch a lot of Dutch football, they've been impressed with what Robin van Persie has managed to do during his tenure as Feyenoord manager. They've taken pretty much maximum points this season in the Eredivisie. They only dropped a couple of points along the way. They sit top of that division, and their record at home in Europe, you know, is absolutely sensational. If this game was at Villa Park, I'd probably be quite confident that Aston Villa could come away with the victory, because they've only won one of their last 20 away games in the Europa League. Feyenoord, you contrast that to what they do at De Kuip, unbeaten in their last 6, don't concede many goals either. So I think if Villa are to win tonight, it might be by quite a marginal scoreline.
Well, of course, Leanne, when you consider, Kevin was telling us there about a number of players they've lost Feyenoord, and often that happens with a lot of the Dutch teams. It becomes a bit of a poaching market for other European teams, but managers likewise have left, and the last Feyenoord manager certainly did all right when he came to the Premier League in a certain Arne Slot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they lost their best player last year in the Eredivisie as well, Hexal. He had 16 goals, 10 assists. He went to Marseille. He's being linked to England as well. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think Eredivisie, whenever they play teams from England, they always seem to step up. You know, historically in Rotterdam, Aston Villa have a lot of history, you know, over there, winning their first ever European Cup and only. But I think, you know, Robin van Persie, was interesting, was Crookie just saying about coming to Man United. I don't think, as much as I love Robin van Persie, I don't think I'd like that one, Crookie, to be fair.
It's got to touch the Ruben Nistelrooy about it, isn't it?
I mean, I love it, but we love him. But no, I'm not having that, Crookie.
I should say here, fireworks are going, or the flames are going off here at the City Ground, and a little bit of Born Slippy as well going on the Tannoy system, where I believe they're sort of showing the history of Nottingham Forest mixed with the current team as well. They're telling the story then of the famous European nights that they have held here at the City Ground. You can hear the fans as well. They're really, really excited that something magical could happen in this season. And likewise, Leanne, if we focus on Aston Villa for a moment, you know, they may well have that hangover for missing out of the Champions League, as you've already rightly said, but there is no better manager than Unai Emery, who knows how to get the job done. Yeah, I love him. I mean, he got the job done. Sevilla, Villarreal. Obviously, when he went to PSG, didn't really quite work out there at Arsenal. I felt like he was quite disrespected by a number of people. A lot of people making fun of his accent and those types of things. He is a top elite manager, and I think he's proven that from when he got there. And, you know, he's a winner, Natalie, and there's been times, you know, when he's gone down the tunnel, and, you know, we had the fan on last week and he was saying that Emery doesn't ever go over and clap the fans. But I think their form this year hasn't been great. There isn't really any form for them. But I think away from home, it's also even worse than it is at home, if that's even possible. So I think this game will be, Kevin had kind of alluded to it, he didn't think it was going to be like a worldie of a game. But last week wasn't a worldie of a game, was it, against Bologna? But they got the job done. So yeah, I'm expecting, you know, this game probably, I think it's got a draw written all over it, if I'm being honest. But I think if Morgan Rogers can start clicking, Ollie Watkins got his goal at the weekend, and I like Ollie Watkins. He's the type of forward that needs confidence. We all do, but he is that type of forward, and I think after that goal at the weekend, hopefully he can push on from that. Here at the City Ground, the teams are making their way out, and a huge tifo has been unveiled with the words, "For a new generation, our time has come." That is what they are expecting then. A season possibly of European glory, but will we see another all-English final like we did last time, with Aston Villa also in hot contention too? Just quickly, Leanne, a word on Ollie Watkins. As we spoke about him last week in that Bologna game, he missed that penalty. He looked to play completely out of sorts and out of confidence, but that goal at the weekend will do massive things for a player who it feels like is a player that rides on confidence alone?
Yeah, I think we all do, to be honest. I've been there myself. You know, when you're a centre forward, not scoring goals, and that's what you're paid to do, it's difficult. But it's not only the goal scoring, it's the body language, the lack of confidence. But you know the Villa fans are behind him. You heard them singing his name before he stepped up to take the penalty. Even when he missed the penalty last week, they were still singing his name because they know, you know, it's not like he's given up and he's not trying. It happens to the best of us in those moments. And I do think when you're in that lack of form, any type of touch, you want it to go in the back of it. It could be your shin, your toe, it doesn't matter. And the fact he got the goal at the weekend against Fulham, I think, hopefully, and he's got to start again tonight, which I think is massive, because I feel like if he hadn't have scored at the weekend, questionably, I would still play with Watkins, but I think Marlon could have been that player that we saw him start last week. He did okay, held the ball up, but he still didn't put the ball in the back of the net, did he?
Well, look, as I said, the teams here are out at this Forest game. You'll be able to tune into Forest against FC Midtjylland on Talksport 2 right now. There is huge anticipation, as I've already mentioned, with what is to be expected here. Ian Abrahams will keep us regularly updated on what happens here, and we'll also keep you updated with Sturm Graz versus Rangers with Talksport's David Tanner. This game, though, on Talksport is brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. It is time now to see if Aston Villa can make it 2 wins from 2 in the Europa League first league stage, as they hope for a Rotterdam good time away then at Feyenoord. Let's hand you to your match commentators. The former England women's striker Leanne Sanderson is alongside your match commentator Alex Crook.
Thank you, Natalie. Very good evening, everybody, on an historic night for English clubs in Europe. This is a fixture that has extra special meaning for the travelling Aston Villa fans. It was in this very De Kuip stadium that Peter Wisgaard won the European Cup for the men from Villa Park some 43 years ago. Then it was the mighty Bayern Munich who stood in opposition. Tonight it's Robin van Persie's Feyenoord, top of the Dutch Eredivisie, who stand in the way of a happy return to Rotterdam. Well, Villa Park hasn't been a happy hunting ground in the opening weeks of the season, but Villa do come here having at least rediscovered some semblance of form. They've won each of their last 2, beating Bologna in their Europa League opener last week, and following that up with 3 precious points in the Premier League at home to Fulham, despite falling behind early on Sunday. Unai Emery makes 4 changes from that team, including a start for Emi Buendia, who made such an impact off the bench against the Cottagers. Ian Maatsen began his career as a youth player at Feyenoord. He's also in from the start this evening. Pau Torres and Abubakar Kamara are the others who come into the Aston Villa 11. So it's Martinez in goal for the visitors, Cash, Konsa, Pau Torres and Maatsen the back 4, McGinn and Kamara in front of them, Gesson, Rogers and Buendia behind Ollie Watkins, who finally found his shooting boots on Sunday. As for Feyenoord, well, Robin van Persie has also made 4 changes from their 1-0 victory against Groningen in the league at the weekend. Vellenreuter is the goalkeeper. The back 4 for the hosts: Reed, Ahmed Hodzic, Watanabe and Schmau. Valente, the captain, Stein, who's a real danger man, and Hwang make up the midfield, with Zawa, Oedar and Haj Musa in attack. Leanne Sanderson is alongside me. I mentioned the 4 changes. Leanne, what an opportunity for Emi Buendia, for example, almost the forgotten man, sent out on loan to Leverkusen for the second half of last season. I think it's fair to say, had Villa have qualified for the Champions League and therefore been able to strengthen the squad a bit more in the summer, he probably wouldn't be here anymore. But he played so well at the weekend that he starts tonight. Yeah, when he came on at the weekend against Fulham, he was fantastic. I think the big conundrum with Buendia is that centre midfield. He's almost not strong enough in there, so it's almost like they have to put him out wide. I think he's been quite underwhelming since coming from Norwich in the first place, but I do think there's a player in there. You know, he puts himself about a bit, but I think if he's out wide a little bit more, there's less numbers and there's less bodies, and he doesn't have to run into them. I think there's ultimately a good player in there, but I think at times he goes missing in games, and he doesn't have that impact. When they put him in that number 10 spot that they've liked to have put him in previously, I don't think he gets on the ball enough. I think out wide he's got more space, he can come inside, play the ball inside towards Morgan Rogers, towards Ollie Watkins, because we saw last week they were interchangeable. Well, on this big night for Villa in the Europa League, it's Unai Emery's men who get us off and running here on Talksport. The visitors in their claret jerseys with the sky blue sleeves, white shorts and sky blue socks, shooting from right to left in the first period. Feyenoord in their traditional half jerseys of red and white, black shorts and black socks, attacking the goal away to our right. Already tonight we've seen Crystal Palace make a winning start in the Conference League as they beat Dynamo Kyiv 2-0 away from home. You heard that live on Talksport 2, over on Talksport 2 right now. Nottingham Forest bringing European football back to the City Ground for the first time in 3 decades. Take on Midtjylland. We'll keep you updated on a big night for Russell Martin and Rangers as well. But here in Rotterdam, Aston Villa looking to do what they did all those years ago back in 1982 and make it a glory night in Europe. They've got to throw on this near side, and Martson takes it and hoists it back into his own half, and Pau Torres in alongside Ezri Konsa tonight because of an injury to Tyrone Mings. They've got more than 10 players, Villa, on the sidelines for this one. A very youthful looking bench as well, as Kamara comes striding forward with purpose, finds Martson to his left, and here is Kamara again back to the halfway line, and Pau Torres. Good early possession for Aston Villa. Yeah,
Kamara's become a real mainstay in there, and ultimately John McGinn's got 2 in 2 now as well. Sounds like Tielemans is not far off of being fully back fit, probably saving him for the weekend from what I've gathered. But I think Kamara at the weekend, when he came out the lineup, he offers something a little bit different. He's very solid positionally, gets on the ball really well. But as we saw last week, Rookie, they dropped quite deep. They were causing their own problems early on. Aston Villa, they were turning over the ball on the edge of the 18-yard box, and it allowed Bologna to come straight back at them. And I'm seeing this early doors, good pressure, but giving away the ball in the defensive areas.
Yeah, Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 0. Feyenoord from their first attack have won a corner, which will be taken over on the left-hand side. It was Matty Cash there having to defend against the youngster Leo Zauer, part of that vibrant front three for the home side, who've taken 19 of a possible 21 points in the Dutch Eredivisie already this season under Robin van Persie. Van Persie incidentally scored 8 goals during his Premier League career against Villa, including that absolute worldie to seal the title for Manchester United. Corner is to be played in by Hwang, and it's punched away by the Aston Villa goalkeeper. And there has been a change actually to the Villa goalkeeper. We expected Emi Martinez to start this game. It is Bizot who starts in goal, and he's just taken an absolute whack in the face there as the corner came in, Leanne.
Yeah, that was a strange one because Emi Martinez was named in the starting 11. He warmed up, maybe he picked up something in the warm-up. Bizot started last week, he pulled off a worldie of a save late on, and he just clambered it over the bar. But yeah, this has been a late shout for sure.
Well, Bizot did start the Europa League game, the win against Bologna last week, and I think a lot of Villa fans thought he might be the goalkeeper for this competition, but as Leanne has said, Martinez was down to start. He's back on his feet, Bizot, and he started a Villa attack here. Got a lot of distance on that clearance, and Watkins has found Morgan Rogers inside the penalty area. He couldn't get the ball out from under his studs in time, and Feyenoord able to clear the danger. It was hammered against Emi Buendia, and it's gone behind for a corner.
That was a lovely break from Aston Villa. Bizot got the ball going quickly. Morgan Rogers broke through centrally into the midfield area, played a lovely ball to Ollie Watkins, and I think Ollie Watkins and Morgan Rogers, they're really good telepathy between each other. I think they find each other quite a lot in those areas, so really good early signs from Aston Villa in the attacking third.
4 minutes gone here on Talksport. Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 0. Feyenoord attacking with Zauer down their left-hand side. He cuts into the penalty area. Oh, was he fouled there by Matt Cash? Well, the Feyenoord players are convinced. Captain Steyn leading the appeals. The referee at the moment is not interested, and meanwhile Rogers runs it upfield for Villa. Now Ollie Watkins 10 yards inside the Feyenoord half. Leanne Sanderson's instant reaction there was that Matt Cash caught Zauer. I wonder if it might be similar to the incident we saw at St James's Park at the weekend, where he gets the ball just before that challenge, Matt Cash. We haven't seen a replay yet. The referee was in close proximity and didn't even flinch, Leanne.
To be fair, this is a really close one, because to me it looked like Matty Cash did get Summer Sauer in that situation, coming in there from that left-hand side. And to be fair, like, Matty Cash, I think, has been a real bright spark for Aston Villa this season. I think he's performed well in a team that's underperforming. I'm going to take another look at this now, because from what I saw, it looked like he didn't really get...
he
did get
ball.
A touch.
It's exactly the same to the situation we had at St James's Park when we all thought penalty, when Gyökeres went down under the challenge from Nick Pope. It was the replay that showed Nick Pope got the faintest of touches on the ball first, and I think it's the same here with Matt Cash.
See, I think that one was a pen at the weekend, but that's a whole other story, Crookie. But I think that one definitely wasn't. Matty Cash does really well there.
Buendia forward to Watkins. Real tempo about this game early on. Watkins 22 yards from goal, thought about shaping for a shot perhaps, goes back into midfield and his skipper McGinn instead. 6 minutes played 0-0, but both teams carrying plenty of attacking threat in the early exchanges.
See, that's the confidence. Sorry, Crookie, but that's the confidence. Ollie Watkins, I think he goes to goal. He's coming inside, cuts in off the left, and the space was down on the left-hand side. He cuts in, goes into the numbers, and then ends up passing the ball about 2 or 3 yards square. Like, I think if that's a confident Ollie Watkins, he goes direct to goal, doesn't he?
And it looked like he would for a moment, but just checked back in field, and suddenly the momentum had been taken out of the attack. He was enduring the worst scoring drought of his career, Ollie Watkins. No goal in 9 games before he netted against Fulham at the weekend, and that has been a big issue for Aston Villa, who of course failed to score in any of their first 4 Premier League games of the season. 0-0 here, and the ball is back at the feet of Bizot, having to come off the bench as a very late replacement for Emi Martinez, presumably after feeling something in the warm-up. Bizot, one of a number of Dutchmen in this Aston Villa squad tonight. Martson, the left-back, who started his career here at the Kuip. How much does that disrupt the team, Leanne, when the goalkeeper has to pull out so close to kick-off?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously disruptive, but I think the fact that he started last week against Bologna, they'll be comfortable with him in that back line. It's the same back line as last week, so I think it won't really rock them too much. I think if this is like his first game, Crookie, I think that changes things a little bit.
There's been a goal in the Rangers game. David Tanner.
And it's Sturm Graz 1, Rangers 0. Tommy Horvath with a goal after 7 minutes. The Rangers defence looking all over the place for this one. And another bad start in Europe for them. Sturm Graz 1, Rangers 0.
Back here, Sam Stein has just seen a shot charged down the edge of the Villa penalty area by Pau Torres. Stein, such a live wire in this Feyenoord team. They signed him from FC Twente, for whom he scored 31 goals last season, 3 in 6 Eredivisie appearances already this term. They won't want to see him in shooting range, as he was just there on too many occasions. 8 minutes gone, 0-0 between Feyenoord and Aston Villa here on Talksport. As you heard there, problems mounting for Russell Martin, a goal down Rangers. Still goalless over on Talksport too between Midtjylland and Nottingham Forest in the Europa League. And the Conference League earlier tonight, Crystal Palace made it 19 games unbeaten as they defeated Dynamo Kiev by 2-0. Here's Morgan Rogers inside the penalty area. The ball just bounces up awkwardly, and Feyenoord able to bring it clear. Their skipper Stein has launched it forward, and that's a pretty decent pass over the top for Hadj Moussa. For a moment looked like he was going to show Martson a clean pair of heels, just checks back inside, and then marauding forward was the right back Reed, who wins his team a throw.
Yeah, Moussa's a top player coming in for this right-hand side. This is an unbelievable touch, lovely little back heel, and then he does a nice little bit of footwork right to left, completely done Martson down this right-hand side. It's interesting you mentioned Sam Steen as well, because the fact that he came over, Crookie, though 23 years old, he's their captain, that is such an amazing thing. And they've got such a young side, haven't they, this Feyenoord team?
Yeah, they have, and that brings a lot of energy, a lot of fearlessness of youth, and they certainly aren't respecting reputations tonight. Unai Emery looking just a little bit agitated, the Aston Villa manager, wearing his trademark resplendent white shirt and black tie and jumper. He'll be a little bit concerned with how easily Feyenoord have found it to cut through Aston Villa's midfield so far. Here's Matt Cash though, good ball forward that one, looking for Gassond. He can't bring it down on the edge of the penalty area, and it's collected by Timon Vellenreuter, the Feyenoord goalkeeper. 10 minutes in, he's not had too much to do as yet. He might have stepped out of his penalty area there. Certainly Villa players were claiming handball. He bowls it upfield quickly and ignores the appeals. And here is Leo Sauer again coming in from the Feyenoord left-hand side. Back in field for Hwang, and now Stein, 10 yards outside the penalty area. He rolls it to his right, and Hadj Moussa, who gets a shot away for a crowded 18-yard box. And it's a smart save down to his left by Bizot. 0-0. That was a chance.
Yeah, Moussa's so good coming in from this right-hand side, hits it with the left. And it was interesting because Villa were going absolutely mental, because Hwang actually played a back pass, Rookie. You know, the keeper picked up, it was a clear back pass. They went absolutely mental, and then they nearly went down the other end and scored.
Well, that certainly would have been controversial. Second corner of the game for Feyenoord, to be whipped in by the Moroccan Hadj Moussa. Has the option to play it short if he wants to, with Mbiom Hwang lurking. Villa have got a line of 6 players camped on the edge of the 6-yard line, and it's pulled back to Stein, the skipper. Good corner routine that, deflects up off Boubacar Kamara, who made the block, and in the end it's cleared away by Gerson. Really cleverly worked corner, came for Stein, the skipper, and saw his shot charged down, but Feyenoord asking a lot of questions early on.
They are, and Hwang and Musa there done some lovely little bits of intricacy.
Here's Zhao with a cross from the left, cuts it on his right foot, stooping header away, and then a shot from miles out high over the crossbar, an apologetic arm in the air from Imbion Hwang. Maybe just got a little excited as you watch a replay of the corner.
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of the intricacies of short corners, because 9 times out of 10 I feel like it's a wasted opportunity when you try and be too cute. Sam Stein just couldn't quite catch hold of it there. It was a lovely, well-worked set piece. You can see Hwang, like you say, Crook, he puts his hand up straight away.
12 minutes played, Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 0. A lively atmosphere inside De Kuyt this evening, as Pau Torres plays the ball out to the right of the Aston Villa penalty area, and Ezri Konsa, the England international, hoping no doubt to be named in Gareth Southgate, Thomas Tuchel's latest squad tomorrow. You'll hear that live on Talksport. It would be a massive surprise in truth if he wasn't in there. Konsa, Kamara finding Watkins with his back to goal inside the centre circle, allows Rodgers to come forward and stretch those long legs. Here's Kamara again. Matt Cash wants the ball sprayed out to his right hand side.
Villa did this last week, where they were dropping into a back 3 and they had Konsa, Torres, Martson and Cash sitting really deep.
Here's Watkins trying to use his pace to get in behind the Feyenoord defence, and goes down on the edge of the penalty area, and the referee has given a free kick and a yellow card for Ahmed Hodzic, no stranger to the inside of an official's notebook. He's only just back from a domestic suspension. He took a bit of a chance there. Watkins playing the ball into the feet of Rodgers, and he used his pace to get behind Ahmed Hodzic. He gets nothing of the ball, Leanne. And I think maybe John McGinn was asking, could that have been potentially a straight red for denying a goal-scoring opportunity?
I was thinking that. It was a lovely little ball from Morgan Rodgers. And I think Ahmed Hodzic there is very fortunate to not get a red. I can understand why John McGinn is asking there, because Ollie Watkins has a lovely first touch. He gets nothing of the ball, like nothing. But this is a fantastic position, Crookie. Edge of the box, you know, Buendia, McGinn's over it, Matty Cash is over it. Sometimes in these situations, the players want to go about 4 or 5 yards back, because this is about 22 yards out. Very, very close, but fantastic position, but quite difficult to get it up and over the wall. Maybe they might go low.
14 minutes gone, and really the first opportunity that Villa have had to test the reactions of Timon Vellenreuter, the Feyenoord goalkeeper. Emi Buendia looks like he fancies this one, scored off the bench against Fulham at the weekend. John McGinn, the captain, was showing interest as well, but he just walked away from the scene of this dead ball. So too has Matt Cash, so it's going to be Buendia to strike it, but Leanne's right, it's very close to the edge of the penalty area. It's the right of centre, and I think the referee is coming over to the screen here, is he, Leanne, to potentially upgrade this yellow card to red. My initial reaction was that if Ahmed Hodzic mistimed the tackle, he would be in big trouble, and the referee has been called to the monitor, and there's every chance here that Feyenoord will go down to 10 men, because the left back Schmal, I don't think was going to get there.
Yeah, I think this is a red card all day long, but similar to the one Manchester United and Brentford at the weekend. Is Ollie Watkins in possession of the ball? I'm just kidding. I mean, that one should have been a red as well at the weekend, and I think this is when I think it's a good use of VAR, because it's a difficult one to call. In the initial play, we both thought we saw it, and we thought it was a red, but it was hard to tell if anybody was covering around. This will be really, really difficult for Feyenoord. They go down to 10 players, you know, first 40 minutes of the game.
And this will be a second red card in successive matches for Ahmed Hodzic, the Bosnian, signed for £18 million from Sheffield United in the summer, and it already feels like a huge moment as Aston Villa look to make it back-to-back wins in the Europa League. He's watched numerous replays now, the referee, and finally he is coming back onto the field. And it looks like the yellow card stands. Ahmed Hodzic is very, very fortunate. And he's just explaining his decision, the referee, to John McGinn. Just pointed to his card as if to say, no, my on-field decision is the correct one. And I have to say, in some ways, that is a little bit refreshing, that the referee deciding that actually his judgment was right all along.
It is, but I still think it's the wrong decision. I mean, I'm not quite sure how this is not denying a goal-scoring opportunity, but I think it was interesting because he's trying to read body language.
It does mean that Villa have had an eternity to line up this free kick. Buendia short to McGinn, takes a deflection. Cleared as far as Martson on the edge of the area. His shot loops off a Feyenoord defender over the goalkeeper's head and out for a corner, 0-0.
Like the ref said, you know, he's gone over to the monitor. He's then waved his hands and said no. Put the yellow card back in his pocket and we're all expecting him to get out the red. So he's almost just saying, no, I've kept my on-field decision. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Crookie, and fair play to the ref, because that's the type of thing we want to see. But I can't wait to see what they have to say about that, because I think that's a red all day long. Corner
for Aston Villa, their first of the game. The referee has just spotted some pushing and shoving. Hwang is being called over. So McGinn, again, is going to have to wait to take the set piece. This game, by the way, brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, your home of European football. McGinn with the corner, whipped into the near post. Hwang heads it towards his own goal, and the goalkeeper flaps at it. He's going to get a free kick, but that wasn't convincing at all from Timon Vellenreuter.
I'll tell you what, Vellenreuter sold this one here for sure, because he comes out and just flaps at it. That is not a foul. That is not a foul at all. Morgan Rogers is in disbelief because he hasn't even touched him. He just comes out and flaps at it and goes down.
Well, some contentious decisions already tonight. Rogers literally just held his ground at the far post. He looks absolutely bemused by the free kick award, and that decision not to send off Ahmed Hodzic already feels like it could be a key one. Here's Emi Buendia, flicks the ball forward inside the centre circle, gets it back from Rogers. Watkins is onside this time. He's gone round the goalkeeper and it's cleared off the line. Brilliant defending by Watanabe. The flag, I think, has gone up anyway. But again, a confident Ollie Watkins, Leanne, just rounds the goalkeeper and rolls that into the net, doesn't he?
Yeah, and you can see what he was trying to do. He was offside in the end. It was a lovely little intricate play from Morgan Rogers and Buendia centrally. Buendia's coming in a lot from the left-hand side and picking up the ball centrally from Morgan Rogers. He goes round the keeper. You can see he's done this a lot of times in his career. And to be fair, I think you've got to give some credit to Hwang for recovering there as well, because he recovered it on the line. He did take it past the keeper, but it was offside ultimately.
And again, looking at the still shot, had the ball have gone in, I think VAR might have looked at that, because it was very tight between Watkins and the last defender. 19 action-packed minutes gone here on Talksport. Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 0. I think there has been a goal at the City ground. Can we hear from Ian Abrahams?
Nottingham Forest 0, Midtjylland 1. A ball played in dangerously from the right-hand side, flicked on by Madsbek Sorensen, the former Brentford defender, and touched in on the line by Usman Diao. Postecoglou can't buy a win here. Forest 0, Midtjylland 1. It's live on Talksport 2.
Wow, Ange Postecoglou yet to win a game as Nottingham Forest manager. His side behind again. 0-0 here in Rotterdam between Feyenoord and Aston Villa. Aston Villa, who have a good recent record against Dutch opposition, 4 wins and a draw from their last 5 such fixtures. And they've had 65% possession tonight. And a big talking point at the moment, the referee ignoring presumably a plea from VAR to send off Ahmed Hodzic, the former Sheffield United defender, when he tripped Ollie Watkins on the edge of the penalty area and Watkins was going clean through. If Villa don't go on and win the game, I'm pretty sure that Unai Emery will be making his views on that crystal clear come full time.
Yeah, that's a poor decision for me. I think it's a shocker. I can't wait to hear how they dissect that one.
Buendia has won the ball high up the field, looked lively early on. The Argentine finding McGinn right in the centre of the Feyenoord half. Aston Villa continuing to dictate the tempo of this game, but Feyenoord have been lively on the counter. Here's Martson, a Champions League finalist with Borussia Dortmund. couple of seasons ago during one of his loan spells from Chelsea. Conser then out to the right-hand side, and Gesson, who we haven't really seen too much of so far this evening.
Or this season, Crookie, I don't think he's been good enough. I think he's been quite poor, and I'm intrigued to see how this one's going to play out, because I'm surprised that Emery hasn't, I don't think he has credit in the bank. I think you look at someone like Morgan Rogers last season, yes, it was only one season, but I think he has that credit in the bank where you can let him play through and find his form again. I think Gesson just hasn't been good enough at all. I think a player that has been good enough, Buendia, I think has been excellent tonight. I know you mentioned him pre-game, Cookie, at the weekend when he came on, but I think he's been brilliant, and he's been coming in from the left-hand side. I speak about him, and sometimes when he starts central, there's a lot of numbers, but I think the midfield of Feyenoord, who are usually very, very good, are getting completely overran in there centrally.
So 0-0 here, but another goal at the City ground. Ian Abrahams.
Nottingham Forest 1, Midtjylland 1, and it was coming to be fair. Ball played across by Morgan Gibbs White from the right-hand side for Dan and Doy to slide home 10 yards out. Game's live on Talksport 2, and it's a good one. Forest 1, Midtjylland 1.
Aston Villa giving the ball away inside their own half. Stein up to the edge of the penalty area. Shot from Hwang was charged down. It's crossed back in by Reid, the young fullback. Cleared away once more. Reid then out to his right-hand side, and Haj Musa. Oedar is lurking in the centre. Haj Musa got a fortunate bounce there on the edge of the penalty area. Martin was convinced it flicked off his arm. He gets the shot away, and it's straight down the throat of Bezos, the stand-in Villa goalkeeper.
Yeah, Villa are causing their own problems. They did the same thing last week, like I mentioned, dropping in deep to pick up the ball in their defensive area. And they played out of pressure quite well last week, whereas this week they're playing against a better side in Feyenoord, and they're dropping so deep. John McGinn is almost picking up the ball on the edge of the 18-yard box, and they just can't get out.
We've reached the midway point of the first half. Still goalless in Rotterdam as a Feyenoord cross is blocked on the edge of the area by Conser. Referee has stopped play for an off-the-ball challenge on John McGinn, the Villa captain. I think Luciano Valente was the offender. McGinn, who was an injury doubt before this game, felt the force of it. Helped back to his feet now. He just jumped on his back, actually, didn't he, after giving the ball away? A bit unconventional. Yeah,
and I think everybody, I always say you need a John McGinn in your side. He's one of those players that, leads by example, doesn't shy away, even when the team's not performing. He gets stuck in, he's always available, always communicating. And I think, what I said last week about the Bologna game previously, before the game, is that a lot of players were out of form. In this game tonight, the team look a little bit more confident. Now, it's amazing what can happen. You get 2 back-to-back wins. Morgan Rogers looks a bit brighter in this game. He's getting on the ball a lot more. Buendia looks really good. So these players that need to find their form, I've no doubt Villa will come good this season.
Here's Hwang, though. Powerful burst down the left-hand side for him. He's upended on the edge of the penalty area. Feyenoord convinced it was a foul. McGinn screaming in the face of the referee that it was a dive. Conser just lent into Leo Zauer, but not really enough force to make him go down as theatrically as he did. And to be fair, the referee happy to allow play to continue. Here's Bezos for Villa. Plays it infield for Buendia. Under a bit of pressure inside his own half, and he's managed to recycle it back to Martin. And now Pau Torres, a winner of this competition with Villarreal, beating Manchester United in that never-ending penalty shootout a few years ago. Here's Torres again, the big, tall Spanish centre-back, races over halfway and then rolls it out to Buendia to his left. Good play there by Torres, gobbling up the green grass, and now Watkins picks it up just outside the penalty area. 0-0 with 25 gone. Watkins into the box, but he's flanked by 2 Feyenoord defenders, and in the end he's just run the ball out tamely for a goal kick. Ollie Watkins. Another goal for Ian Abrahams at the City ground.
Forest 1, Midtjylland 2, 3 goals in 5 minutes, and Midtjylland are back in front again. A corner flicked on by Philip Binning, kept out from close range by Sells, only as far as Madsbæk Sorensen, the former Brentford defender, and the skipper stabbed home from close range. It's on Talksport 2. What a game! Forest 1, Midtjylland 2.
Yeah, at the moment they're gobbling up all the goals on Talksport 2. Earlier tonight, Crystal Palace winning 2-0 away from home in the Conference League against Dynamo Kiev. The ball is played into the Aston Villa area and met on the volley by Oedar. It was not a convincing stop by Bezos. Quick counter-attack Little ball scooped over the top. He was being played onside by Pau Torres. Meets it first time and almost hits Bizot in the chest. Bounces in front of him, and the Villa goalkeeper gathers for the second time of asking.
Yeah, Oeda caught that quite well, to be fair. He took it quite early. It was always going to be a comfortable save for Bizot, but I think Martson was so poor there. He gave it away centrally in those midfield areas, and literally Aston Villa need to stop turning over the ball in their defensive third. To be fair to Pau Torres, he's very, very good at dribbling the ball out of the back. I'd expect none other than from a Spanish player, but he's really good at dribbling out. Now he's drawing players in, but look how deep they are, Crookie.
Yeah, Morgan Rogers just gave it away inside his own half to Valente. Valente now for Feyenoord, back out to his left-hand side, and the lively Zauer. He's away from Matt Cash, he's into the penalty area, pulls it back for Stein, the skipper, and it's cleared off the goal line by Martson. I think maybe Bizot would have had it covered, but a heart-in-mouths moment for those travelling Villa fans, and still Feyenoord come forward, crossed in and headed wide by Oeda. That's a golden chance for Feyenoord star striker to nod his team in front. He looks up to the heavens in frustration, and Sem Stein so close to breaking the deadlock as well just before that.
Yeah, how Oeda's not scored there, I don't know. I have no idea why he's gone with the technique, heading it into the ground. It was a fantastic little play from Zua down the left-hand side. Stein ends up picking up the ball. They're coming at them, aren't they? But like I said, Villa are causing their own problems. They did this last week, but they were playing against a way poor opposition in Bologna. And you can see Feyenoord are really taking the game. They're at home. They're very good at home. They're sitting top at the Eredivisie. That's not a coincidence, you know. Robin van Persie's done a really good job since he come in there. Previously, you know, people questioned Robin van Persie quite a lot in his managerial career. It didn't quite work out for him in his previous club, but I think, you know, you can see they're on the front foot, and Aston Villa need to stop sitting so deep.
You're listening to live Europa League football here on Talksport. Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 0. Villa yet to have a shot on target. We'll argue Feyenoord should be down to 10 men. Ahmed Hodzic, once of Sheffield United, hauling down Watkins on the edge of the area, shown only a yellow card. But it's Feyenoord who've had 2 or 3 really good opportunities to break the deadlock since then. Ian Martson clearing off the line from Stein, the skipper, and then Oeda heading wide with the goal at his mercy.
Yeah, they got away with it one there, Crookie, because he has to score. Oeda. It was a fantastic ball into the box, and you won't get a better opportunity than that.
Here's Matt Cash. He was amongst the goals on his last visit to the Netherlands, scoring for Poland in a World Cup qualifier against the Dutch. Here's Gesson now down that right-hand side that Cash is occupying. Tries the low cross from the edge of the penalty area, blocked by Schmal, and then he tried to keep it in play. He's given possession back to Gesson. Now Matt Cash finding McGinn midway inside Feyenoord territory. 29 minutes gone, 0-0. Forest 2-1 down to Michelin in their first European home game in 3 decades. That's live on Talksport 2. Rangers trailing to Sturm Graz. Good play by Rogers on the edge of the area. Looks to slide it forward for Gesson, but the pass was overcooked, and out comes Willem Reuter to claim and immediately bowls it forward. They are rapid, Feyenoord, in terms of getting the ball from one end of the pitch to the other. Here's Hadj Moussa down their right. Opportunity to switch the play out to the far side, and Zauer, with those socks rolled down, Zauer again. He's going to run at Matt Cash, and he shoots from the edge of the area straight into the arms of Bizot. But at the moment, it looks a bit of a mismatch, doesn't it? The youngster Zauer against the experienced old-headed Matty Cash. At the moment, it's Leo Zauer coming out on top. Definitely,
and I've been quite complimentary of Matty Cash, because like I said, I think he's been one of Villa's best players this year. People can say that's not difficult.
Here's Ollie Watkins. Spotted the goalkeeper off his line, shoots from 30 yards out, but didn't get enough loft on the effort, and it was straight into the gloves of Willem Reuter. I mean, surely, Leanne, if you're Unai Emery, you'd just be telling Ollie Watkins to run at Ahmed Hodzic every time he gets the opportunity to do so.
Absolutely, and I will say Morgan Rogers had a couple of really good runs in this game, good footwork to be able to create an opportunity.
Here's Reed, crossing from the Feyenoord right-hand side, Stein shots, deflects, and it's wide. Goalkeeper would have been wrong-footed, but you can see there as Sem Stein hides his face in his shirt, just why he's got so many goals since the start of last season. Picked up a lovely pocket of space. I think actually he's fired the shot against his own man Oeda, and he's gone behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, and to be fair, like, they're so purposeful they transition really well back to front. That is not a corner. It's gone out for a corner. That definitely came off Ueda.
No, Feyenoord once again maybe benefiting from a dubious decision, as they did with Ahmed Hodzic not being sent off. Referee has just called Matty Cash over as this corner is about to be played in from the home side's right. Cash doing his best innocent expression. 14 minutes of the first half to play. Absolutely flown by here on Talksport. So much to talk about without any goals as of yet. Hadj Moussa with a corner towards the far post and headed down by Ueda. Clawed away by the goalkeeper, but the referee says it crossed the line. And Feyenoord take the lead against Aston Villa. Or do they? In fact, maybe the referee has called a halt for a foul. Well, certainly initially he looked to point towards the centre circle. Feyenoord players were away celebrating, but looks like it's going to be a free kick for Aston Villa. It definitely crossed the line. I'm not sure what the referee has seen here. Well, maybe a push on Matty Cash.
There's nothing in that.
Before the ball came to Ueda at the far post.
How that has not been given as a goal is beyond me. It was definitely over the line. I have no idea what this referee is doing at all. He's lost control of the game for me.
Robin van Persie can't believe it.
That's not a foul. Matty Cash, that is not a foul. Cookie, there's a lot of players in the box. There's a lot of melee. Obviously, when there's so many numbers in there, there's going to be people that fall down. And for the ref to make that type of decision, on-field decision, I think he's had a shocker there, to be honest.
Well, Robin van Persie in his bomber jacket is making that point to the fourth official. I guess both sides now have had the benefit of a contentious call. Ahmed Hodzic not sent off for the foul on Ollie Watkins. And now, what looked a perfectly good Feyenoord goal scored by Ayase Ueda has been chalked off for the most innocuous of challenges on Matty Cash. 0-0.
But Cookie, explain to me that one, why he's not gone. Why the VAR haven't intervened there? I don't understand.
I can only imagine that he whistled before the ball crossed the line.
Because this is when I just don't understand why. That is when you have to use VAR, because that goal was a clear goal. Matty Cash goes down, doesn't even get fouled. Yes, there was contact, but there's loads of bodies in the box. I don't understand.
Well, let off for Villa, stays goalless. But a first half full of talking points, despite the blank scoreline. Here's Ueda on the edge of the area, trying to turn. Well, one back by John McGinn. Made sure he didn't dive in, and Pau Torres now with the opportunity to clear. Torres plays the ball up to the halfway line, held up well by Watkins. Lays it off to Martson. Martson forward on this near side to Kamara. It was a fizz pass back to Martson, but he did well to control it. And now Buendia allowed to roam over the halfway line. Forward to Watkins, who's been clattered by Watanabe. And it's going to be a free kick right in the centre of the Feyenoord half.
Yeah, good little turn from Ollie Watkins there. Aston Villa did really well. Buendia's pulling the strings on the halfway line, coming central. Feyenoord can't get really anywhere near him. Ollie Watkins, lovely little turn.
Robin van Persie has a face like thunder.
I understand why though. That's such a poor decision, Cookie.
And we think Premier League officials are not the best. Matt Cash from the free kick tries to guide the ball down inside the penalty area. Feyenoord have enough bodies back to deal with it, and Stein, the skipper, immediately looking to release Hadj Moussa down the right. The ball just bounces awkwardly over his head and out for an Aston Villa throw. It stays goalless. We've got 10 first half minutes to play over on Talksport 2. Still Forest 1, Midtjylland 2. So it looks like problems mounting for Ange Postecoglou. And let's find out what we've seen by way of a response from Rangers. David Tanner.
In fact, it's a second goal for Sturm Graz. The ball is in the back of the net right this minute. Your timing's perfect. It's scored by Otar Kitishvili, the Georgian international playmaker. His 6th goal of the season. It's Sturm Graz 2, Rangers, it gets worse, 0.
And Celtic beaten at home by Braga already tonight by 2-0. So not a good night for the Scottish Giants in the Europa League. A good night for Palace as they won their Conference League opener in Poland against Dynamo Kiev by 2-0. Villa 0-0 here in Rotterdam against Feyenoord. Martson scrapping with Hadj Moussa, comes away with the ball, the Villa left back, makes his way towards halfway, right in front of Robin van Persie, the former Arsenal and Manchester United striker patrolling his technical area.
They have absolutely no width. I was very complimentary of Buendia being on the left-hand side and coming in. He was getting a lot of joy in the first 10 minutes of the game, but I feel like now he's just kind of coming inside quite a lot, and there's just no width. Morgan Rogers, I think, has had a better game. He's occupying space centrally, but then when he gets the ball, like, Gusan is just does not do anything, does he, Cookie? How he continuously plays is beyond me. Like, I'm all for playing players through, form and trying to find their form again, but he's been really poor. Really, really poor again.
Yeah, yet to score, Van Gusan, since his £26 million move from Nice in the summer. They've never really replaced John Duran following that move to Saudi Arabia, and actually it's really fascinating. Troy Deeney's made this point a couple of times on the 10 till 1 show on Talksport, that Ollie Watkins seems to play better when he's got genuine competition. When he had Duran breathing down his neck, and when Marcus Rashford came in on loan last season, maybe he needs that competition to really drive him on.
Yeah, that happens to some players, but I think ultimately they have to also find you have to dig a bit deep. You shouldn't have to take someone else coming in for you to then step up your game, because as we've seen, Emery will take him out of the lineup. He will.
I think his hold-up play's been good tonight, Ollie Watkins. Here's Buendia over the halfway line, bit of space to run into in the Feyenoord half. Rolls it to his left, and Martson with a chance across to the far post, with the goalkeeper flaps at another cross, and then Guesson goes down inside the box. Referee content that there was a fair challenge from Schmel, the left back, and Feyenoord will come forward with Oeda into the centre circle and stay. Now Hadj Moussa down the right. He's got Reed up in support. Reed inside the penalty area. Good cross along the 6-yard line. Well defended by Pau Torres this time, and it's kept in on the far side by Schmel. Feyenoord with plenty of bodies forward inside the box. Schmel's cross is a low one, turn behind. It will be a corner conceded by John McGinn. 0-0.
Yeah, Reed did a really good overlap there. It was a lovely little ball from Moussa down this right-hand side, and Reed just delivered the ball across the box. And you can see a lot of this Feyenoord stuff is just straight off the training field, Rookie. It's almost like, a shooting and crossing and finishing session without the finishing. They're very direct. They're very good at getting bodies into the box. And Villa have to be careful. It's been a really good game. Although it's only 0-0, there's a lot to dissect in this game.
It's their fourth corner. They managed to find the net from the last one, ruled out for a foul in the build-up. Oeda again will be a big target as the cross comes in. They've got a lot of players in and around the 6-yard box trying to crowd the standing goalkeeper Bizot, whipped in by Hwang, and Bizot comes through that crowd to his credit, punches clear. Schmel back out to Hwang. Villa boxed inside their own 18-yard box. Hwang with a deep cross over the head of Stein at the far post, and Martson, I think, will be content just to let that ball run out for a throw and alleviate some of this final pressure.
Yeah, I think I've jinxed Matty Cash, because I spoke about him being Villa's best player this year, along with John McGinn, because I think he's been brilliant, Matty Cash, and he's been getting done left, right and centre this first 38 minutes.
I just wonder if he is feeling the effects of that injury that he was nursing after the win against Fulham at the weekend. Matt Cash cushions the ball down inside the area for Compter. Here is John McGinn, the Villa skipper. Again, there's a lot of space in that midfield area. And he comes forward, finds Emi Buendia, couldn't get it out from under his feet, Buendia. And that should allow Hadj Moussa to clear the danger.
See how there's no width though, Cookie? Like, John McGinn picks up the ball there, drives about 20-25 yards with the ball, carries it, and then he plays it into numbers. I think it was a wrong decision to go to Buendia centrally there, but somebody needs to keep their width. Ollie Watkins is staying central, but I'd like to see maybe peel out wide.
Here's Reed, the fullback, down by the right corner flag. His cross is chested down by Pau Torres and cleared away left-footed, but one back just on the edge of the penalty, and a little chip over the goalkeeper from Valente. It's a really good stop by Bizot, just to push the ball over his crossbar. He's a big goalkeeper, and he needed all of that 6.5-foot frame there just to claw the ball right-handed behind for a corner.
Bizot is fantastic at those types of saves, from being able to for a big guy to be able to get, height-wise, to be able to get a hand on that. He did the same thing last week against Bologna as well. Fantastic hand.
In comes the corner from Hadj Moussa towards the far post. Stein does well to keep it in play because it wasn't a great delivery. And Villa again a bit sleepy at the back as the cross comes in over the head of Oeda. And Feyenoord claim that flicked off a Villa player. It's going to be another corner for the home team. It's still 0-0, but Aston Villa having to ride out a bit of a storm at the end of this first half.
This touch from Sam Stein, the captain, is one of the best I've seen in a long time. It reminds me of Mesut Ozil when he was at Real Madrid. The ball is coming over and he just killed it on a six-foot. What a touch that is.
And it's Haj Musa with a corner once again from the near side. 4 minutes to play in the first half. Good ball in and headed over the crossbar. It was a dart towards the near post by Hwang. He couldn't divert his header on target. It's out for a goal kick, and I don't think Marco Bizot will be any fantastic rush to take it. As we watch a replay of the save from the Villa goalkeeper to punch over the crossbar, that chipped effort from Luciano Valente.
They've definitely been fearless in this game. I mean, you can see why they're top of the Eredivisie for sure, because they're fearless, they've got a young team, they're on the front foot, they get back to front really, really quickly. They transition really well with numbers, limited passes, and Villa seem to be running out of ideas. You know, that's what some of the fans from Villa have been saying. Has Emery got a plan B or C?
Another ball into the Villa penalty area, headed behind by Pau Torres this time, with the dangerous Oeda lurking. It's going to be yet another Feyenoord corner. Ayase Oeda, the Japanese international, 6 goals to his name already this season, is proving a real handful for the Villa centre-backs.
But this has come from their own problems. This is an unforced error, giving away the ball out of the back. They've done this the entire game, Aston Villa.
And they have been dangerous with these set pieces, Feyenoord, not least the one that was headed in by Oeda. Clearly crossed the line, ruled out for a foul by Matty Cash, on Matty Cash in the build-up. He has been a bit overzealous at times, the referee, just delaying this corner being taken. Finally it is Haj Musa, punched away by the goalkeeper Bizot, and then volley clear by Buendia. They still can't get out here, Villa. Martson has to nod it clear, and maybe a chance for the counter, led by Ollie Watkins. Didn't really have too many options going forward to just go back towards his own penalty area, Watkins, and it's collected now by Pau Torres with 2.5 minutes to play in the first half. Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 0 here on Talksport. Over on Talksport 2, Ange Postecoglou's Nottingham Forest behind again in the Europa League. They trail Michelin at the City Ground by 2-1. Palace beat Dynamo Kiev 2-0 in the Conference League earlier tonight. You heard that live on Talksport 2. We've got a choice of listing for you tomorrow from the Premier League over here on Talksport. It's Bournemouth against Fulham, and over on Talksport 2 it's the Hollywood Derby from the Championship. Birmingham take on Wrexham. Game day on Saturday starts with Leeds against Tottenham from the Premier League. That's live on Talksport at 12:30. Here's Matty Cash raiding down the Villa right, goes down under the challenge from Leo Zauer, so it's going to be an Aston Villa free kick with 90 seconds the first half to play.
What I see in this game is the fact that Feyenoord are looking like they want to win the game. They're on the front foot, they're intense, they're having a lot of intensity going forward.
Martson trying to link up with Buendia, who goes down inside the penalty area. Referee had a good view of it and again allows play to continue, and then Pau Torres well forward has upended Haj Musa. The referee did just point to his ear there as if he was speaking to the VAR.
Not for me, Crookie. I mean, not for me at all. At all.
There may have been a faint shirt pull on Emi Buendia, but again, I don't think that goes down as prolonged holding by the fullback Guevara Reed.
I mean, to be fair, Reed is a complete wrong side of him, but I don't know, I just don't think this is a foul.
Well, nor did the VAR. Play will restart, and we've only got 30 seconds there or thereabouts of normal time in this first half. It's Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 0. As the Feyenoord keeper Vellenreuter goes long upfield, headed out by Martson. Had his work cut out, actually, Martson, on this Villa left against Haj Musa. Preferred tonight to Luca Digne, back in familiar surroundings, the ex-Feyenoord youth player. And it's John McGinn now, the Villa captain, who picks up possession 15 yards outside his own half. Comes forward into the centre circle. Casher made a dart to his right, but McGinn just slows the play down.
Yeah,
as we move into 2 added minutes at the end of the first half. There's
no options, really. When McGinn's picking up the ball centrally, it's very, very pedestrian, very lacklustre. And I think, you know, ultimately they obviously just want to get to half-time and take it to him in the second half.
Good ball by Conser though, out to Matt Cash on the right hand side. His cross was deflected, just took the sting out of it. The ball nestles kindly in the gloves of Timon Wellenreuter, the former Schalke and Germany under-21 goalkeeper. It looks like Feyenoord now are content just to get to half-time with the score at 0-0. As they play the ball long upfield, it's collected by Markson just inside the home half of the field. Now John McGinn, the captain, inside the centre circle, forward to Buendia. Fizzes his pass into Rogers, gets it back again, Buendia, and then rolls it out to Markson on the left. Maybe one last Villa attack at the end of the first half. Markson tussling with Reed, who stood tall, did well there, the full-back, and then gave the ball away to Kamara. Possession changing hands rapidly as Unai Emery jumps up and down on the edge of his technical area. Well won by Torres in midfield for Villa, and here's Emi Buendia forward to Rogers. Buendia continues his run inside the area. Rogers couldn't squeeze it through, and then it bounces off the defender Ahmed Hodzic onto the arm of the England international, and Feyenoord have a free kick, and probably Leanne Sanderson, that will be the last attacking action we see in this first half.
Yeah, I think Reed's done a really good job at right back. I mean, the fact that he's 19 years old, but Feyenoord in his vice cap just about speaks true in this young side. I think Robin van Persie will be really disappointed to not be 1-0 up. That goal should have definitely been given for me. It was over the line, there wasn't much in it on that one, and I would say ultimately it's been a pretty evenly matched game, but I think there's been more intensity from Feyenoord. I think Aston Villa looked quite sluggish at times. Maybe, you know, potentially there was talk of Matty Cash not starting this game and resting him, but Emery's gone with a really solid side, so I expected to make substitutions in the second half.
Well, there goes the half-time whistle. I think both managers, with cause to feel aggrieved with the officials, Unai Emery, because Anil Ahmed Hodzic was shown just a yellow card when he brought down Ollie Watkins on the edge of the penalty area in what for us was denying a clear goal-scoring opportunity. The referee was summoned to the VAR screen, but ultimately decided his on-field decision of a yellow card was sufficient enough punishment. And at the other end, Ayase Ueda heading in from a corner, the ball clearly crossed the line, ruled out because of an innocuous looking foul on Matty Cash in the build-up. Half-time in Rotterdam. It's been incident-packed but goalless. It is Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 0.
Alex and Leanne, for now, thank you very much. You're listening to the Europa League live on Talksport, and before we assess that first half in Rotterdam, let's bring you a half-time check on the other games involving British sides here at the City Ground. We're at the break. Here's Ian Abraham.
Forest 1, Midtjylland 2, and if that surprises you, then the Forest performance, as the referee, by the way, not the team, are being booed off at half-time, the Forest performance maybe shouldn't. Dow put Midtjylland ahead on 18 minutes, ball played in from the right-hand side, flicked on by Max Bedbag Sorensen, formerly of Brentford, and Diao literally on the line put the ball in. Forest's response was immediate, and it was a goal-worthy one. Gibbs White down the right-hand side, ball in for Dan and Doy, 10 yards out to slide the ball home. But Midtjylland responded themselves from a corner, flicked on by Billing, kept out by Sells from close range. Sorensen did put the ball in the back of the net, and from then on, Forest actually rarely troubled Olafsson in the Midtjylland goal. And I can tell you, Ange Postecoglou in Nottingham rain went off at half-time, not a happy bunny. Half-time at the City Ground, Forest 1, Midtjylland 2.
Ian, thank you very much. It's also half-time in Austria, where Sturm Graz are entertaining Rangers. David Tanner.
Sturm Graz 2, Rangers 0, and Rangers are all over the place at the back again this season, and they trail an Austrian side which is of a standard that Rangers would have beaten in recent seasons. They conceded in 7 minutes from their own throw-in, 20 yards out from his own goal. Tavernier threw it forward, the ball was intercepted, that caught out John Suter in defence, and Tommy Horvat scored. Rangers' Youssef Chermiti cracked header off the bar and then saw a shot saved. However, the real story of that period in the game was that Jack Butland was called into action 3 times before the Austrian champion scored a second. It was a really bizarre goal. It was a free kick on the right. Rangers had a really high line, and the free kick was tucked low behind the defence, and Otar Kitishvili, the Georgian international, read it well and scored past Butland. Rangers are a shambles at the back under Russell Martin again in Austria. It's Sturm Graz 2, Rangers 0 at the break.
David, thank you very much. And earlier on, don't forget, Celtic lost at home to Braga in the Europa League. And as for the Europa Conference League, Crystal Palace won their first game in Europe with a 2-0 win at Dynamo Kyiv. Also in action right now at half-time, it's Aberdeen 1, Shakhtar Donetsk 1. And from the League of Ireland, Shelbourne are in action. It's goalless at home against Häcken, whereas Shamrock Rovers are at Sparta Prague, and they are 2-0 down at half-time. Now let's focus on the game then in Rotterdam, and this game is brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Leanne Sanderson has been a part of our commentary team for this one, and Leanne, let's get straight into it really. For a 0-0, it's been pretty eventful, hasn't it?
To be honest, really entertaining. You know, they definitely should have had a player sent off. For me, red card all day long. Then they score. Final, Robin Van Persie's going absolutely crazy. The ball was definitely over the line. They gave a foul on Matty Cash. This game's had everything, really, but I think I see Feyenoord being on the front foot. They go back to front really, really quick. They transition really well. And Aston Villa just seem okay with just maintaining the ball. They're giving away the ball a lot, though, Aston Villa, similar to what they did last week against Bologna. But Bologna are less of an opposition than Feyenoord. I've liked what I've seen from this Feyenoord side. I think Sam Steen, their captain's been really good. Wang's been amongst it. Zua's been good. Uada should have scored as well. So they've had, I'd say Feyenoord have had the better chances, possession-wise, evenly matched, you know. Aston Villa just edge it a little bit. But I do think Emery will make some changes tactically in the second half and maybe team selection-wise.
Well, he'll definitely be disappointed with the output up front because they've only had one shot on target. Very different for their host Feyenoord. 5 shots on target. Marco Bizot, a late replacement for the injured Emi Martinez, making all 5 saves in that one. They've certainly outplayed and outshot Aston Villa Feyenoord, so perhaps Robin Van Persie will be disappointed with that. But the controversial moments, like you say, that possible red card for Ahmed Hodzic, given a yellow on the field by the referee, VAR intervene, ask him to go and check the monitor. To be fair, we always talk about when that happens, the referee tends to change their mind and go with the VAR perhaps thought, because why else have they been sent to the monitor? Because VAR have thought that they've made an incorrect decision. We don't get the reasons as to why the referee has decided to stick with his initial yellow card, but it did feel as though it was the denial of a goal scoring opportunity, so you can understand why Aston Villa will be very disappointed that wasn't upgraded to a red, Liam.
Definitely. I mean, there's a couple of things to dissect here, because yes, as football fans we want them to make their on-field decision, but it has to be the right one, Natalie.
Yeah.
You know, that's the reality. Like, it was denied of a goal scoring opportunity for sure all day long, and I think the ref's had a mare, to be fair, in this game. It's not easy refereeing, I'm not saying it is, but I think he's had a shocker at times. You know, they should have had their goal as well all day long. That is not a foul on Matty Cash. There's loads of bodies in there, so you know, I think he's had a bit of a mare, this referee. He needs to get hold of it in the second half.
Well, it's a Slovenian referee, Rade Obranovic, who is in charge for this one. It has been eventful, that is for sure, in Rotterdam. Now, coming up next, we'll bring you all the details from Crystal Palace's first Conference League fixture as they impressively beat Dynamo Kyiv 2-0 in their first game in Europe, before we bring you the second half then of Feyenoord against Aston Villa.
Kick off on Talksport with Ladbrokes. 18+ gambleaware.org. Kick off on Talksport with Ladbrokes. 18+ gambleaware.org.
Julie could part exchange her car. Or check out We Buy Any Car. She could be unsure if she got a good deal part exchanging. Or have cash in the bank with more bargaining power to get a bigger car for her five-a-side team. Totally played. Or total player. To get a quote in 30 seconds, enter your reg number now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Great bolts of thunder. Disney's Hercules is now thrilling mortals in London's West End with epic spectacle and all the classic songs from the animated film. It's hotter than Hades, bigger than Mount Olympus. Disney's Hercules at Theatre Royal Drury Lane. Don't come Acropolis. Book now at herculesthemusical.co.uk.
So, John, you think Argos is just good for toys?
Well, no,
Trevor, show him what he's missing.
This sleek Bose Soundlink Bluetooth speaker. Brilliant bass, eh, John?
Oh, there is more to Argos. Get the latest tech and more on the Argos app today. Subject to availability in selected stores and argos.co.uk.
That's not simple. That's not simple. Now that's simple. Hastings Direct Car Insurance is simple, because when life is this complicated, finding a great deal shouldn't be. Great cover, great price, and a great app makes us one of the UK's top choices when comparing car insurance online. Hastings Direct. Simplicity is the best policy. For verification, see hastingsdirect.com/verify.
Calling all little wildlife explorers. Playmobil is now in Happy Meal. Look, is that a seal? And a sea turtle? They've been around for millions of years, just like me. Which will your little ones discover? Some fun, some food, it's all inside this Happy Meal. Until the 14th of October from 11 a.m, Playmobil comprised toys only, subject to availability.
Welcome back to the Coral Fan Derby. They're all here. First up, the badge-in blokes. Arms down, badges rested. Well deserved. Football fashionistas next, putting that vintage away shirt back in the wardrobe. Last out, the armchair experts, remote in hand, ready to sit this one out. They've all called a timeout with Coral's play break tool. Oh, what a decision! From play breaks to deposit limits and more. We're here for safer gambling. Coral, we're here for it.
18 plus, gambleaware.org. Stamina, celebrity, Lightspeed weeknight football. Kick-off live on Talksport.
An historic night for English clubs in Europe. This is a fixture that has extra special meaning for the travelling Aston Villa fans. Here's Watkins trying to use his pace to get in behind the Feyenoord defence and goes down on the edge of the penalty area. I think the referee is coming over to the screen here, is he, Leanne, to potentially upgrade this yellow card to red. And it looks like the yellow card stands.
I still think it's the wrong decision. I mean, I'm not quite sure how this is not denying a goal-scoring opportunity.
Watkins is onside this time. He's gone round the goalkeeper and it's cleared off the line towards the far post and headed down by Oeda. Clawed away by the goalkeeper, but the referee says it crossed the line. And Feyenoord take the lead against Aston Villa. Or do they? Looks like it's going to be a free kick for Aston Villa. It definitely crossed the line. I'm not sure what the referee has seen here. Well, maybe a push on Matty Cash.
How that has not been given as a goal is beyond me.
So that is how you've heard it so far here on Talksport. It's Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 0, and this is Europa League Live on Kickoff on Talksport. We've had a pitch invader here at the City Ground, it has to be said, but it's of the furry kind, a squirrel making his home here at the Tricky Trees and at the City Ground, where Nottingham Forest trail FC Midtjylland by 2-1. We will, post-match, bring you a full analysis of that game, but you can check it out on Talksport too. Let's bring you a half-time odds update with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Well, in the Feyenoord Aston Villa game, then Feyenoord now are best price at 15-8 to come away with a victory, and they have been dominant against their visitors. Aston Villa are at 2s now to pick up a second win in a row in the Europa League, and if you fancy it ending in a draw, well, 6-4 is what Ladbrokes are offering. That was the latest odds then with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over. Be gambleaware.org.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Now, earlier on, Crystal Palace took on Dynamo Kyiv in Poland. A reminder, of course, they can't play their matches in Ukraine at the moment due to the conflict in that part of the world. Hence why this one took place in Poland. And for a first outing in Europe, it ended up with a good 2-0 win for Crystal Palace. Here's how it sounded on TalkSport 2.
Here we go then. Crystal Palace, for the first time ever, playing a match in the league phase of a European competition. Is Pino in off the inside left channel, floats into the far post. Munoz coming in and scores! A floating header that completely deceived the goalkeeper.
Daniel Munoz arrives at the right time, headed it right back across goal. And it what felt like an eternity of us watching. and we see it loop and land in the far top corner. Unbelievable header.
Lovely turn by Pino, outside of the boot, and now Nketiah does score. What a few days he's having. The winner against Liverpool, and now he doubles Crystal Palace's lead. Another challenge here on Simchik, and the referee's going to come across here to Borna Sosa and show a second yellow card. The Croatian is off.
2 yellow cards in what, 2 minutes? It's stupid play from Sosa, has to be said.
2025 continues to be the most historic of years for Crystal Palace. Their first ever win in the league phase of a European competition. They have beaten Dynamo Kyiv by 2-0.
So that's what we brought you on Talksport 2 earlier. Right now you can tune into Nottingham Forest against FC Midtjylland with Ange Postecoglou's side trailing 2-1 at half-time. The players, though, are out as the rain falls here at the City Ground. But Leanne Sanderson, very much part of our commentary team for the game on Talksport Feyenoord against Aston Villa, which is goalless. But a quick word on Palace, Leanne, if we don't mind. 19 games unbeaten. That is simply fantastic, and perhaps not being bigged up enough.
Yeah, unbelievable. The job that Ollie Glasner's done at Crystal Palace, along with the individual players, unbelievable. I mean, we were at the game at the weekend, me and Crookie, when Nketiah scored that late goal, and like the Holmesdale and all Sellers Park just went crazy. I mean, people can say Liverpool have been underwhelming the last few games. They're still a top side, and the fact that Crystal Palace, 19 games unbeaten, FA Cup, like winning trophies. Maybe Mark Gahey might not leave at the end of the day.
Let's look ahead to the second half then of what's to come with you in Rotterdam. What do you think Unai Emery can do to try and get a grip of this game?
I think stop playing out the back the way they are. They're pulling into a back three, playing out from the back, giving away the ball, turning over the ball. I think the first 10 minutes or so, Buendia was doing really well, coming off the wing, coming inside, and then they've got no width. Morgan Rogers hasn't really been on the ball, and Ollie Watkins just kind of been stagnant up top. There's a couple of times Morgan Rogers has got on the ball, played centrally, played through the middle to Ollie Watkins, got a little bit of joy, but not really. They've been quite pedestrian in their build-up play. Whereas Feyenoord, we know they're a young side. They've been on the front foot, and I think Robin van Persie really disappointed, although they should have had that goal, that they haven't scored in open play either, because they've been the better side for me.
All right, you're listening into Kickoff on Talksport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gambleaware.org. You're listening to Feyenoord against Aston Villa. Goalless it is at the break here on Talksport. But this game is brought to you in partnership with TNT Sport, the home of European football. Let's hand you back to your team then. It is Leanne Sanderson alongside Alex Crook.
Thank you, Natalie. Just watching Robin van Persie stroll purposefully across the pitch, the Feyenoord manager. I'll tell you what, Leanne, he's not aged, has he? From 12 years ago when he scored that wonderful volley against Aston Villa to win Manchester United the Premier League title?
Nah, he still looks good, and obviously for us, Crookie, he'll always be a legend at Manchester United.
Well, raining in Nottingham, raining in Rotterdam as well. Not raining goals to this point, but certainly plenty of talking points as Feyenoord make a half-time change. Imbian Hwang is replaced by Osama Targaline, the Moroccan international, signed from Le Havre halfway through last season. What do you make of that substitution?
I thought Hwang's had a good game. Maybe he's picked up something, an injury at half-time or something, because in the first half, because I thought he was decent. He was in amongst it, cleared that one off the line. Yeah, I think he's had a decent game.
Well, no changes as far as Aston Villa are concerned, so they will kick off this second half with Bizot, a late replacement for the injured Emi Martinez in goal. Cash, Konsa, Pau Torres and Martz in the back four. McGinn and Kamara in front of them. Gerson, Rogers and Buendia behind Ollie Watkins, the lone striker. It will be Feyenoord in those red and white half jerseys, black shorts, black socks, who get us underway in this second half. Aston Villa in the claret shirts with the sky blue sleeves, white shorts and sky blue socks, attacking the goal away to our right. The Feyenoord lineup then for this second half is Valent Reuter in goal, Reed, Ahmed Hodzic on a yellow card, and Watanabe at the back alongside Schmal, Valente, Stein and Targaline now the midfield, with Haj Musa on the right, Zawa on the left, and the dangerous Oeda the striker. Free kick for Feyenoord down by the corner flag. Foul by Martson on Guevara Reed, raiding forward from fullback.
Yeah, Reed sold that really, really well, because I don't think there was much in this at all. Did a really good job. Buendia didn't really touch him, and he goes down, and the ref has fell for that one for me. It's a decent position. It's literally right on top of the corner flag on the right-hand side. So it'll almost be like a carbon copy of a set piece. We've seen them try some little intricacies from corners as well.
Well, it was 0-0 at half-time in that European Cup final back in 1982 in Rotterdam. Peter Withe scoring after 67 minutes, the only goal for Villa as they beat Bayern Munich. They've got a free kick to defend here very early in the second half. Hadj Moussa whips it in dangerously. Bizot, to his credit, was aware that it was going to go over his head and behind the far post for a goal kick for Villa. 0-0 the score here. Forest 2-1 down at home to Michelin. That game continues live on Talksport 2. And there has been a goal in Austria. Rangers 2-0 down against Sturm Graz. Last we heard, are Russell Martin's men back in it, or is it game over, David Tanner?
They're back in it, Crookie. It's Sturm Graz 2, Rangers 1, 4 minutes into the second half. And it's JD Gassama who scores a terrific goal, similar to the ones he scored earlier in the European campaign. He got the ball on the left, cut inside onto his right foot, and smashed the ball between 4 to 5 defenders and the goalkeeper at the near post. Terrific finish. Rangers back in it. Sturm Graz 2, Rangers 1.
Here's Gesson for Villa, trying to jink his way into the penalty area. Had it stolen away by Valente, but he never really seemed to be in full control there. The ungainly Evan Gesson made no impact at all so far tonight. He's trying to pick out Kamara there midway inside the Feyenoord half, but again he undercooked the pass, and Valente sweeps it out to his right, and Guevara Reed. 0-0 between Feyenoord and Villa. Good ball from Reed to Hadj Moussa, who's timed his run. Hadj Moussa with a low cross into the penalty area, steered away by Konsa. Wasn't a great ball, and Villa have it back now inside their own 18-yard box with Pau Torres.
I was waiting for the flag to go up, Crookie. I feel like, Hadj Moussa there should have done better.
And there might be another opportunity. Hadj Moussa cuts it back to his captain, Stein with a shot, blocked by Konsa around about the penalty spot. Feyenoord pressing at the start of this second half, and then Stein has fouled Kamara. He's booted the ball away in frustration, and he's going to get a yellow card here, Sam Stein, needlessly.
Yeah, that's a yellow card all day long. He just completely boots the ball away in frustration. I think they broke really well. Hadj Moussa did a really good job down the right-hand side, tried to pick out Sam Stein, but I think Konsa does such a fantastic job. This is such a great block that he has from Sam Stein. Puts his body on the line. Maybe Bizot would have saved it in the end, but he made a great connection. And that is a yellow card all day long. He's absolutely whacked the ball high out of the ground.
Shouldn't surprise us that Aston Villa failed to find the net in the first half. They've only scored one first half goal in their 6 Premier League games so far this season. Of course, didn't score at all in any of their first 4 league matches. That was a club record. They haven't had too many chances here. In fact, goalkeeper Timon Vellenreuter has had a relatively comfortable evening to this point. 50 minutes gone, it's 0-0. It's Feyenoord who started the second half, the brighter. Oeda, edge of the penalty area. Strong challenge by John McGinn, the captain, wins it back for Villa. Now Rodgers looking to come forward. Holding off the challenge there of Watanabe, but it's swung back in the end by Valente for Feyenoord.
Gusson has to come out of this game, Crookie. I mean, Morgan Rodgers did really well there because he was actually having his shirt pulled centrally. But how good is John McGinn at getting his body there and just kind of body checking the players out the way?
He does use that big backside to his advantage at times, doesn't he, John McGinn? He's admitted that himself down the years. I mean, what a servant he's been for Aston Villa. Was talk that he maybe moved on in the summer. There was a rejected bid by Everton, but I think Unai Emery made it crystal clear to the powers that be that that was one player he wasn't willing to part company with. Here is Zauer down the left again, running at Matty Cash. Did he run it out of play? Referee went to whistle, didn't whistle. Staying with a shot that's blocked, and again belatedly the flag goes up. He clearly took the ball behind there, Leo Zauer. It should have been a routine decision, and again the referee was hesitant.
Yeah, and this is how injuries happen, Crookie. It was clearly obvious to us that the ball was out of play. from Zawa. He keeps it in. Sam Sting ends up getting the ball, gets blocked again from Pau Torres. They need to be better in those areas, Feyenoord. I think they're doing a really good job of getting out wide, playing the ball centrally. Sam Steen does a really good job getting there, but there's been a couple of times now they've had the chance in and around the penalty spot and they've just hit it. And fair play to Villa, they're putting their bodies on the line, but you've got to just pick out a corner.
And here's Gusson out to his left and Buendia. Martson bombing forward on the overlap. Buendia towards the penalty area, finds Martson. Little dart from Gusson, he's hit the post. From 6 yards out, he's hit the outside of the upright. Evan Gusson inches away there from his first Villa goal. It was a rapid counter-attack led by Buendia. Lovely cutback from Martson. Goalkeeper was beaten, but he couldn't quite squeeze it in. Evan Gusson.
To be fair to Gusson, and you know I'm not his biggest fan, but at the same time he is quite far past the front post here to be able to rotate his hips. You know, he does quite a good job to get it even on target, because most people would see that as a really, really bad miss, but I see it as he just was quite far past the front post. Really good play though from Martson and Buendia down the left-hand side. I think if he holds his run a little bit crooky, he's not then past the front post, and then it would be almost like a simple tap-in, but he goes too early.
There continues to be a really good tempo about this game. 0-0, the atmosphere is crackling. Villa fans playing their part in this, those who've made the pilgrimage back to Rotterdam 43 years after the greatest night in the club's history. I just can't see how it's going to finish goalless. Reed dragged to the ground by Martson. That might be another yellow card here. Certainly going to be a Feyenoord free kick just in from the far touchline.
Do you notice how in this second half Reed is doing a really good job of getting a little bit higher? In the first half he wasn't causing Martson any problems. He was sitting back quite deep, whereas clearly in the second half Robbie Van Persie has said you have the licence to go forward a little bit more. Let's continue to take the game to Aston Villa.
Shake of the head from Javero Reed, the 19-year-old. I think he feels that should have been a booking. The Feyenoord fans behind the goal, away to our left, on their feet, flags and scarves being waved in the air. Unai Emery pensively looks on, the Villa manager. It's a free kick for Feyenoord, and they have been really probing with these dead balls, and they're not on this occasion. Curse to the commentator. Anis Hadj Moussa got right underneath it and hammers it high over the bar into that stand, away to our left. 0-0.
That is so poor. I mean, I've liked Hadj Moussa in this game. I think he's had a couple of good opportunities coming in from the right-hand side, but there's been two now back-to-back. The corner that he took, the set piece he took from that right-hand side as well, overhit it, and then the next one he's taken, it was a fantastic opportunity to put a good ball in from the right-hand side, and again, he's overhit it completely.
Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 0. You're listening to Talksport on this big Europa League and Europa Conference League night. This game brought to you in association with TNT Sports, your home of European football. Still Forest 1, Michelin 2 over on Talksport 2 in the Europa League. Rangers 2-1 down against Sturm Graz earlier tonight. Celtic beaten 2-0 at home by Braga. And in the Conference League it finished Dynamo Kiev 0, Crystal Palace 2. Goals from Daniel Munoz and Eddie Nketiah off the bench, extending Palace's run to a club record 19 games unbeaten. Here's Gusson for Villa. Makes his way towards the Feyenoord penalty area. The lean, lanky Rodgers takes over. Now McGinn halfway inside the home half of the field. Pau Torres allowed to trot forward. Buendia flicks it on. Watkins with his back to goal just helps it back towards the halfway line, and McGinn. I think ideally Villa would like a slower tempo to proceedings than we've had for most of the night, and they're just trying to keep the ball here with Boubacar Kamara. One of the 4 changes that Unai Emery made for the win against Fulham at the weekend.
Yeah, I think to me Villa look quite tired in this game. I'm expecting Harvey Elliott to come on at some point. I know I've been talking about this for a while now, but I can't quite get my head around the fact that he got pulled at half-time at the weekend, getting minimal minutes since coming over from Liverpool, and he can definitely impact this game for sure. We'll probably see Lucas Digne come into the game as well, maybe Martson will go, because there's a lot of tired legs out there, Crookie.
Yeah, they're probably the only changes that Emery can really make at this stage. Got Lamar Bogard there as well, who could come into midfield. They've already had to use one of the two goalkeepers they named on the bench in Marco Bizot. They've got three teenagers in Bradley Burrows, Ben Broggio and Jamaldine Jamoa Aloba. So many players unavailable, hampering Unai Emery early in this season. As John McGinn just plays it into the centre circle, and Abubakar Kamara, good spell of possession this from Villa, but really only taking the sting out of the game, not probing the Feyenoord defence themselves. Konsa might change that because he's going up through the gears, and he's found Watkins on the left corner of the penalty area. Watkins shrugging off one defender and then playing in Martson to his left. Martson faked across, then pulls it back to Buendia. Martson again, his strong challenge that from Guevara Reed, but a fair one as the ball goes behind for a goal kick. Let's get an update from the City ground. Any sign of a Nottingham Forest comeback? Ian Abrahams.
They're trying. It's an hour gone almost. Still Forest 1, Midtjylland 2. We've seen Nico Williams, we've seen Elliot Anderson, and we've seen Callum Hudson-Odoi, all with curling efforts just wide. I don't know what's more here. More frustration from Ange or more excitement on the pitch is all happening. Forest 1, Midtjylland 2 on Talksport 2.
And earlier tonight, Crystal Palace 2-0 winners on Talksport 2 against Dynamo Kiev. More live football for you tomorrow here on Talksport. It's Bournemouth against Fulham. Bournemouth with a chance to go second in the Premier League for 24 hours at least if they win that one. On Talksport 2, we've got the Hollywood Derby between Wrexham and Birmingham Saturday, 12:30 on Talksport. We're live from Ellen Road as Leeds take on Tottenham. And as always, from 3 o'clock, Adrian Durham taking you around the grounds in the Premier League, the EFL and beyond. And lots of games in the Premier League on Sunday, including Brentford against Manchester City. Game day live on Talksport, keeping you across all the action. That's coming live from the NFL at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Not quite sure how Sam Matterface has wangled that one, but there you go. As Kamara looks to come over the halfway line for Aston Villa, 0-0. Here's Morgan Rogers. Watkins makes a run ahead of him. Can't get the ball under control though, and Feyenoord with a chance to break with Valente. He's going to look for his centre forward, Ueda, and he shrugged off Konsa. He lifts his shot over the crossbar. Wouldn't have counted. The referee whistling for a free kick, deciding that Ueda was just a bit too strong in the challenge on Ezri Konsa.
Yeah, I think that is a foul, to be honest. He got the wrong side of him, Konsa, but I think Ueda just kind of catches him a little bit, and he sailed it over the bar as well. Ueda is known for being a good goal scorer. He's got a couple of opportunities in there now where in the first half, especially that header, that was a massive opportunity. And Robin Van Persie, we see he's looking, he would have finished these all day long, wouldn't he? Especially that one in the first half. But I think he's also appealing because he doesn't think it's a foul. I think that is a foul, Brookie.
Robin Van Persie was in the Feyenoord team, and they last won this competition back in 2002. Twice winners of the old UEFA Cup, beating Tottenham in the final in 1974, and of course winning the Europa Cup the European Cup 4 years previously. So this is a meeting of two former European champions. And it's still Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 0. Villa with 60% possession over the course of the evening so far. Targaline just runs the ball out of play on the far side, feels he was fouled, but the referee gives Villa a throw. We wonder how much longer Unai Emery will leave it before he opts to bring some fresh legs off the bench. Morgan Rogers trips as he tries to control the ball, but still helps it forward to Guessond. Here's Matty Cash now in the right wing position. Forward to Rogers. Oh, neat play from Rogers. Gets away from his man. He pulls the ground as he inside the penalty area. Well, the referee immediately tells Rogers to get to his feet. Leo Zauer certainly had a handful of Rogers' shirt there again. Was it sustained holding, Leanne Sanderson?
It's a lovely little chop from Morgan Rogers from the right-hand side. I don't think it is enough, Cookie, to go down. He's definitely holding his shirt, but they're holding each other's shirts, and I don't think that is a penalty. I'll tell you what, though, Morgan Rogers did really well, because I think it was a really poor ball from Matty Cash. I hated that ball. When I was in the centre-forward position, when you play like this nothing ball down the outside, it's like a hit-and-hope type of little intricate pass, and I think Morgan Rogers does really well there, but that's not a pen for me.
Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 0. 61 minutes gone on Talksport. Feyenoord with a goal harshly ruled out in the first half for a foul on Matty Cash, and Aston Villa also felt the home team should have been down to 10 men. Ahmed Hodgson shown only a yellow card for bringing down Watkins on the edge of the area. Here's Rodgers, plays it into the D. Now Emi Buendia shoots right-footed Buendia, and he finds the corner. Emi Buendia with his second goal in as many matches to give Aston Villa the lead in Rotterdam. A ground that brings back incredible memories for those travelling supporters, and Buendia has just given them another. It's an excellent finish. He got the ball quickly out from under his feet inside the D on the edge of the area and guides it into the bottom corner. Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 1.
Yeah, Kamara does fantastically well here. It was a lovely little ball in from Matty Cash to Morgan Rodgers, and to be fair to Morgan Rodgers, he overran it a little bit. His first touch wasn't great, then he played a nice little ball. Kamara did to Buendia. Lovely little first touch from Buendia. No backlift on it and just bends it. Lovely composure in the bottom corner. And I think Buendia deserves that. As you mentioned, 2 in 2 now, but I think he's looked right. He went stale a little bit at the end of the first half, but I think he's looked good coming in from that right-hand side.
And the Aston Villa fans serenade their Argentinian goal scorer. You wondered heading into the season just how much of a future Buendia had as an Aston Villa player, but he made a crucial impact off the bench on Sunday in that win over Fulham, and he's done it again tonight. Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 1, probably against the run of play.
Yeah, definitely, and I think Robin van Persie and Feyenoord will be really disappointed, but that's what happens when you have the quality. Feyenoord just haven't been able to put it in the back of the net. I think they've been the better side, definitely. Now that stands for nothing if you can't put the ball in the back of the net in the way that they have. It's a fantastic finish from Buendia, and to be fair to him, you know, he's been at the club now for 3-4 years, and since he came from Norwich, Buendia, they expected a little bit more from him, similar to when Coutinho signed for them. And I feel like, you know, these types of performances the last couple of games, sometimes it takes players a little bit longer. You know, you mentioned he went out on loan, it looked like his Villa career was kind of done and dusted, and now he's looking really, really good. You can hear what the fans think of him as well.
And it just changes the dynamics of this game now. I mentioned that Villa were trying to slow it down, trying to just take the tempo out of proceedings because they've been played at frenetic speed, which obviously suited this young Feyenoord team. Now they can use their experience, they can keep the ball and just try and manage the game for the final 27 minutes.
Yeah, and we say Feyenoord have been the better side, but I think Villa is showing their quality. Maybe that was a tactic of theirs to control the tempo, because to me it looked quite slow and pedestrian. You know, they were pretty happy to just slow the ball down at times. John McGibbon's putting his foot on top of the ball. They never really looked panicked or rattled, even when Feyenoord was throwing it at them. And I said they looked quite tired within this game, Aston Villa. So maybe Emery will be making some change. I know they've got Burnley at the weekend on Sunday, but the players do look quite tired, so maybe we'll see some substitutions start to happen. But against the run of play for sure, but that's what happens when you have that type of quality. And Feyenoord, to be fair, created a lot in the first half, but in the second half haven't really done much, have they?
John McGinn wins possession back from the Feyenoord skipper, staying on the edge of the penalty area, and it's the Aston Villa fans whose voices are filling the Rotterdam air. And that goal coming a little bit earlier than Peter Withs in the final back in 1982, but roared to the rafters by those who've made the pilgrimage back to the Netherlands tonight. So Villa in front here, Nottingham Forest 2-1 down at home to Michelin. You can hear that game over on Talksport 2. Rangers trailing Sturm Graz by the same scoreline. And already tonight, Celtic 2-0 losers at home to Braga in the Europa League. And over on Talksport 2, you heard Dynamo Kiev 0, Crystal Palace 2 in the Conference League. Feyenoord with questions to answer now, and it was a poor start to the European competitions for Dutch sides, all 5 beaten in the Champions League and the Europa League on match day 1, and Robin van Persie's men behind here. I do wonder about that half-time change, Leanne. You mentioned it, Hwang was having a real impact in midfield, replaced by Targelin, and Villa have started to control that key area. Yeah, for me, Valente was the player that should have gone off. I mean, it's easy to say it from this side of the pitch, rookie. Like I said, managers have to make difficult decisions, but I'm not quite sure, unless Hwang had an injury, why he went off of
the game. But I think, you know, in the second half, Aston Villa, have they taken the game to Feyenoord? Not particularly, but they're 1-0 up.
Looks like Donjan Malen, another of Aston Villa's Dutch contingent, is preparing to come on. And I think so too is Lamar Bogarde, another Dutchman in the Aston Villa ranks. They might be going double Dutch with this change.
I like what you did there, Crookie. I think, like, potentially it could be Ollie Watkins that comes out of the game. He hasn't had his best game, but I don't think the front line of Aston Villa have done that well in this game. I think Morgan Rogers looked bright at times, picked up the ball a couple of times, looked better than he did against Bologna. But I do think, you know, we expected them to make substitutions again. I know I keep saying it, but I don't understand why Harvey Elliott is not getting any type of minutes at Aston Villa.
Yeah, he'll be frustrated as well, having swapped Liverpool for Villa Park in the summer. Here's Ollie Watkins on the edge of the area. The ball scoots away from him and is collected by Willem Reuter. Aston Villa at home to Burnley in the Premier League on Sunday. That'll be part of our coverage on Game Day Live. If this result stays the same, they'll be looking for 4 wins in a row, having failed to win any of their first 6 in all competitions this season.
You know I love Ollie Watkins, Crookie, right? But that was Ollie Watkins' bread and butter. It was a lovely way to pass to Morgan Rogers, and Ollie Watkins' first touch just lets him down. Like, I know he scored at the weekend, and I thought that would help push him on, but he's really lacking confidence still. That Ollie Watkins last season would have controlled that and have been in the back of the net, or at least make the keeper make a save. Instead, his touch has taken it away from him. He's miscontrolled it.
Emi Buendia's goal, caressed into the far corner from the edge of the penalty area at the moment, is going to give Villa back-to-back wins at the start of their Europa League campaign. They made it all the way through to the quarter-finals in the Champions League last season, semi-finalists in the Conference League the year before. Could they potentially go one better and reach the final of a competition that Unai Emery just simply adores? 4 times a winner as a manager. This is his 95th game tonight in the Europa League, far and away more than any other manager, and his side leading by a 1-0. Ball played forward looking for Gesson, but too far in front of the former Nice man, and collected by Timon Vellenreuter, the goalkeeper for Feyenoord, all in orange away to our right.
Does the narrative then change then, Crookie, based upon the fact that Villa, if they were to win this game, there's still 20 minutes to go plus stoppage time? You know, 3 games in a row now. When you look at it this time last week, it was like everyone was saying they're in a crisis.
Well, I think the message coming out of Villa Park, even in the wake of Monchi's departure as sporting director, a big ally of Unai Emery, was don't panic, there's plenty of football to be played. Here's Morgan Rogers into Buendia. Buendia thought about the shot from the edge of the area, plays out to Gossond, and his cross is blocked, and the rebound is collected by Willem Reuter. I think he probably should have let fly there, Buendia, from a not dissimilar position from where he stroked Aston Villa into the lead.
Again, brilliant play from John McGinn to win the ball centrally to find Morgan Rogers. And by the time it got to Buendia, I couldn't understand why Buendia just didn't get a touch out of his feet like he scored his goal and just let it go. Then goes out right to Gossond, and then he just kind of, it's a wasted opportunity.
Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 1, 69 minutes played. We shall not be moved is the cry from the travelling army from the Midlands. I think in some ways also an answer to your question about does it change the narrative around Villa. I think they were always going to have a bit of a hangover, having missed out on a Champions League place so dramatically on the last day of last season, managing to do what not too many teams did in the Premier League, losing to Ruben Amorim's Manchester United, and they had that controversial refereeing call as well. Martinez sent off at Old Trafford on the final day. They did change the course of their summer transfer plans. They weren't able to bring in the calibre of players I think that Unai Emery would have wanted. They had to sell Jacob Ramsey to Newcastle. But the board have the optimum faith in their manager, and that's being repaid at the moment, with Villa leading by 1-0. Emi Buendia, the scorer. I think he might be one of the players who's making his way off here, is he? As Villa make this double change.
Yeah, he is, and I think it was interesting because he came off against Bologna last week as well, and you know, he was quite disappointed. You could see he didn't have a bad attitude, he came off, he shook hands and that, but it's like sometimes there's those players that always seem to get pulled, and I think in these types of moments I would have played Buendia through this. You know, he's in probably the best run of form he's had in an Aston Villa shirt. He's looked good. Then the other player is Ollie Watkins, who for me hasn't looked good. And you know how much I love Ollie Watkins, but yeah, he looks poor.
And it is the two Dutch players coming on, Daniel Marlen and Lamar Bogaard, whose uncle Winston was a European Cup winner with Ajax. There's a change as well at right back for Feyenoord, and it was a surprise to many in Holland that the player coming on, Bart Nieuwkoop, didn't start the game. He's on, so too is Slitty, and it's Sauer and Reed who are replaced. So double change from Robin van Persie, with Feyenoord trailing by 1-0 here on Talksport. Straight away, Slitty looking to make an impact down the right, crosses, sliding challenge by Martsen, concedes a corner.
I think a lot of people are expecting to see Jurrien Timber's brother playing this game tonight as well, but he's not even in the squad. It looks like he picked up an injury potentially at the weekend.
Yeah, disappointment for him. So it was a very different team picked by Robin van Persie than many of the Dutch media were predicting this morning. They have got a corner here, had a lot of set pieces in the first half, not so many in the second. Again, the referee is just being a bit overzealous here with the pushing and shoving that is going on, delaying the corner when Feyenoord don't really have time on their side.
8 corners, Crookie, Feyenoord have had to Villa's 1. It's crazy.
Well, that really sums up the flow of the game, but it's Villa who lead 1-0. Pretty much their only shot on target. Corner to be taken by Haj Moussa towards the near post. Well defended by Martsen, hooks it away. Left-footed. Acrobatic clearance from Martsen facing his own goal. Back out to Haj Moussa. Little poke pass into the penalty area, and Nieuwkoop, fresh off the bench, tried to cut the cross back. It's cleared, but not very far. Headed away by Concert, and a little push in the back by Nieuwkoop on McGinn. Free kick for Villa, just inside their own box. It stays 1-0 for the visitors.
Haj Moussa's been really good on the ball, playing nice little through balls through, but I think his delivery on set pieces from corners and from set pieces, free kicks, have been really poor. That one there, it's an opportunity. They put a lot of bodies in the box. As we saw there, that goal disallowed due to that foul that for me wasn't a foul of Matty Cash. But I do think they need to start making the most of these set pieces they've had. And ultimately, they have a lot of intensity. They perform pretty well. You can see why they're the top of the Eredivisie, but they just don't seem to have the quality in the final third.
Let's get an update from the Rangers game away from home in Austria against Sturm Graz tonight. Any sign, David Tanner, of an equaliser for the visitors?
76 minutes gone. It's still Sturm Graz 2, Rangers 1. But the Sturm Graz goalkeeper Oliver Christensen has just made 2 tremendous saves to keep Rangers out. And Rangers have a corner kick, and Rangers are turning up the power. But it's still 2-1 to the Austrian Bundesliga champions.
And we'll get an update from the City ground very shortly as well. Forest against Michelin live on Talksport 2. As Aston Villa with Martsen just trying again to control the pace of the game. They lead 1-0, 16 minutes to play. We weren't expecting many goals tonight given Feyenoord's impressive defensive record and Villa's lack of goals in the Premier League, and it's turning out that way at the moment. Here's Martsen trying to run into the penalty area. Strong challenge by Nieuwkoop. Won the ball. Martsen at the moment has stayed down, and that leaves Villa a bit short-handed defensively, and then a foul by Pau Torres. You heard the yelp from Haj Moussa. This free kick is about to be taken. Let's get an update from Ian Abrahams.
13 minutes to go. Forest 1, Midtjylland 2. Forest second half effort is now relying on Chris Wood, who's come on a sub. I can tell you that owner Evangelos Marinakis just in front of me doesn't look very happy. Live on Talksport 2. Forest 1, Midtjylland 2.
Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 1 in Rotterdam. We're going to see another Feyenoord change, and the captain Sem Steyn is replaced, having not really made the impact in the second half he did in the first. And Leanne coming on as a player that you know well, Sayal Larin, the experienced Canadian international.
Yeah, he was at Orlando City when I played for the Orlando Pride. He's a decent goal scorer. I'm surprised he hasn't come on earlier. I mean, Sam Steen's been decent in this game. You mentioned he had a couple of opportunities, in the first half, looked really bright, but kind of filtered out in the second half, didn't it?
Here's Nuko. Cuts the cross back into the penalty area, chance for 1-1, and it's guided wide by Ahmed Hodzic from the edge of the box. What a chance for Feyenoord, who committed plenty forward. Nuko was offside, I think had the goal have gone in, then VAR would have ruled it out anyway, but Ahmed Hodzic didn't know that and just siphoned his effort wide up from the back.
Yeah, he didn't know that at all, and you know, a player that people are surprised is still on the park. He is on the park, and he has to put that in the back of the net for sure. It's a chance.
I'm not sure what he was doing that high up the pitch though. Change for Villa, Ian Markson replaced by Lucas Digne for the final 14 minutes plus stoppage time. And I guess that's a reflection of the fact that Nuko down that right-hand side has been having a bit of joy since coming on.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, Emery does this quite a lot. A lot of people have been crying out for Digne to be the player that starts, but I think Markson's done a relatively decent job of late, and he seems to bring on Digne to see the game out, the experience, the quality, and player that he relies upon.
Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 1. Villa's first game in the Europa League since a 2-0 defeat against CSKA in Moscow back in February 2009 when Talksport's own Martin O'Neill was the manager. Very much part of White and Jordan, 10 till 1. Weekdays.
Loved what he said the other day about XG. Completely on board with that. It's my least favourite thing about football, apart from Sweet Caroline, Crookie.
He has got some brilliant views. Not sure Neil Diamond would agree with you, but
or every other
that's another
fan.
debate. Played that at my wedding.
I take
Filled
you back
the dance
then.
floor. 13 minutes to go here. Villa leading 1-0. Feyenoord still looking dangerous, having seen a goal controversially chalked off in the first half. The header from Oyese Oeda because of a foul on Matt Cash. Just as the corner was taken, Villa felt the home side should have been down to 10 and Ahmed Hodzic bringing down Watkins on the edge of the area when he was clean through. And a yellow card shown despite a VAR review. But the goal that separates the two teams, Emi Buendia firing home from the edge of the area midway through this second half. And it's given away by Shimal to John McGinn, looking for Gusson. I think he is still out there, Leanne, just because Unai Emery is desperate to play his summer signing into some kind of form.
Yeah, but he seems to be happy to do it with Gusson, but not with Harvey Elliott, which I can't get my head around. I think every game I've seen Gusson playing, he's been really underwhelming, he's been poor. Listen, we all go through those moments, but at least put yourself about. Do you know what I mean? At least impact the game in some way, somehow. Whereas he isn't impacting it in any way.
Kamara back to Pau Torres, turns away from Larin, the Canadian. Then up to Doniel Marlon. Wriggles away from the attentions of Ahmed Hodzic. Marlon towards the penalty area. He's into the box now. Marlon comes from again, and he sweeps Aston Villa into a 2-0 lead. John McGinn, Aston Villa's man for all seasons, scored the winner against Bologna in their last Europa League game, and he has surely scored the goal to seal 3 points in Rotterdam. Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 2.
That's 3-3 now for John McGinn. It was unbelievable play from Marlon. This was such a great turn in and around the halfway line. Controls it, fantastic centre forward play. Comes out to this right hand side, great first touch, second touch, completely spins the defender, and it's very, very direct because I don't think the runs from Gesson were helping him out. McGinn's run wasn't great either, and it ends up falling to John McGinn. Tries to overlap, but this is all about Marlon for me. Nice and direct, fantastic run, and fair play to John McGinn because he deserves that. He's one of those players, like I said, that works so hard for this Aston Villa side. When their backs are against the wall, he defends so well. Fantastic little finish from John McGinn, and the fans have gone crazy.
So goals from Emi Buendia just after the hour. John McGinn with 11 minutes of normal time remaining. I've got Unai Emery swashing the air in jubilation. It looks a long, long way back for Robin van Persie's Feyenoord now. As the cross comes in towards Oeda, and maybe a chance here. Brilliant save by Bizot with the feet. It was Valente coming in from point-blank range, and he throws himself at the ball, Bizot, and keeps the score at 2-0.
How good is he, Bizot, at shot stopping? He's such a really good shot stopper. I mean, Valente, he gets out it's a good strike, makes good connection, and Bizot gets out so quickly, comes off his line really, really quick. Fantastic save. Excellent.
Well, sometimes you can criticise a goalkeeper for leading with the feet, but got it absolutely spot on there. Marco Bizot, who wasn't expecting to start the game, and the moment he's heading for a third clean sheet in 5 appearances this season. You know, Emery, by the way, has just been shown a yellow card. Was he protesting for a potential infringement in the build-up to that chance?
I have no idea, but he certainly looks rattled this year, doesn't he? I'm okay with that when managers show their, frustrations and stuff. Nothing really in that, but I have no idea what he's going mental about.
Marco Bizot has now been booked for time wasting, delaying the taking of the goal kick. Villa leading by 2-0 with 8 minutes plus stoppage time to play here on Talksport. Over on Talksport 2, it's still Forest 1, Midtjylland 2, so looks like Ange Postecoglou's wait for a first win as Forest manager will go on. Rangers looking for an equaliser away from home at Sturm Graz in the Europa League. They trail by 2-1. Earlier tonight, Celtic beaten 2-0 at home by Braga, and Palace playing their first ever group stage game in a European competition. They beat Dynamo Kiev by 2-0 in the Conference League. You heard that game live on Talksport 2. Looks like Villa are going to bring on Victor Lindelof and Harvey Elliott next time there's a stoppage in play. Luca Digne gives the ball away tamely down the Villa left-hand side. Valente strokes it back out to Targelin. Targelin's pass intended for Oeda was overhit and cleared away to Watanabe inside the centre circle for the Dutch hosts.
I mean, it hasn't been easy on the eye from Aston Villa, and maybe that's where the criticisms are coming, because it's crazy to say, but I feel like Feyenoord have been the better side.
Haj Musa with a low ball into the penalty area. Valente gets a shot away, blocked by Boubacar Kamara on the corner of the 6-yard box, and maybe a chance for Villa to counter with Rodgers forward to Donyell Malen. He's had a strange Aston Villa career, hasn't he? Signed permanently from Borussia Dortmund in January and then left out immediately of the Champions League squad. So this is the first opportunity he's had, Donyell Malen, to play European football in a Villa shirt. He's overhit that pass for Gesson. It goes all the way through for the goalkeeper Willem Reuter. Let's get back to the City ground. Forest pushing for this equaliser. Ian Abrahams.
They're pushing, but they're not there yet. Forest 1, Midtjylland 2. Chris Wood has had 2 goals disallowed for offside, 1 from him and 1 from Elliot Anderson being offside. The Midtjylland fans having fun. They've got topless. It's on Talksport 2, this one. As Wibbs White has a shot saved. It's Forest 1, Midtjylland 2.
Won't that be 5 games for Ange Postecoglou without a victory in all competitions? Not quite the impact that Evangelos Marinakis was hoping for when he made that controversial change of manager.
I hate to say it, but it's predictable, isn't it, Crookie? Like, I was never a big Ange fan. I always feel like, fair play to him, winning the Europa League, bringing Tottenham a trophy. I just feel like he's so negative in every way. He's negative the way he approaches games. He's negative in his press conferences. And for me, if I'm playing for a manager like that, it's no wonder, they're not getting the best out of the players.
They host Newcastle on Sunday in the Premier League. That will be part of Game Day Live on Sunday afternoon here on Talksport. Yellow card for Larin for a challenge on Morgan Rodgers. And Villa leading here by 2-0. And in fact, the yellow card was for Targelin. Yarin was just protesting on behalf of his teammate, and they got involved in a bit of pushing and shoving. Maybe they both got booked at the end.
There's nothing in that, really. I mean, the referee has booked both players, it looks like, but there wasn't really, and Morgan Rodgers have been booked as well. Like, they didn't really do anything.
Well, Villa making more changes here. The captain John McGinn has just handed over the armband. He gets a warm ovation from the travelling Aston Villa fans. It was his goal, the second goal that surely has clinched it for Villa. Matty Cash also making way for Lindelof. And let's get back to David Tanner watching Rangers' pursuit of an equaliser in their game in Austria.
88 minutes gone. It's Sturm Graz 2, Rangers 1. Rangers now have 3 strikers, Danilo, Majowski and Chermiti, and 2 wingers, Mikey Moore and Gassama on the pitch. It is bizarre. It's like school playground football as Russell Martin gambles. Can they get the goal that equalises this tie? We'll find out soon enough. It's Sturm Graz 2, Rangers 1. We're in the 89th minute now.
So as well as that double Aston Villa change, Feyenoord have brought on Jordan Boss, the Australian international, for Luciano Valente. Here's Lindelof coming forward down the right. There has been a goal at the City Ground. We'll be back there very shortly. As Lindelof, the finalist in this competition with Manchester United, goes back into his own half, and Concert. So let's find out if Forest are back on level terms. Ian Abrahams.
No, game over. Forest 1, Midtjylland 3. He wasn't negative here, Postecoglou. His team were gunning forward. It was 3 against 1 on the break, and in the end, Midtjylland easily went on and scored. Their fans are all completely topless now, and Postecoglou's got his head in his hands. It's Forest 1, Midtjylland 3.
Wow. Well, they got a point in Betis last week, but they are going to be beaten here at home, Nottingham Forest, by 3-1 in the Europa League. 5 games without a win in all competitions for Ange Postecoglou. And you wonder how quickly the Forest fans might turn on that appointment. 3 minutes to go in Rotterdam. Aston Villa leading by 2-0. It's a free kick for Feyenoord, and a chance for Targaline to come forward down the right. Links up with Haj Moussa, who again has been negated in this second half when you think how many issues he caused for Villa in the first.
Yeah, I think Moussa's had a decent game. He's looked lively, he's been active, but I think when they look back on this game and they watch it and they do the match analysis and watch the game back, I think they'll be disappointed with the quality. They've been active, they've looked very good, fluid in the attack, back to front very quickly, but I do think they've had opportunities where they've got out wide, played the ball into the box and didn't have the quality to put it in the back of the net.
And I think Robin van Persie will also point to that first half goal from Oeda, controversially ruled out as a real turning point in proceedings. 0-0 at that stage, and if Feyenoord had taken the lead, it would have been a much different second half. As it is, goals from Buendia just after the hour mark, and John McGinn 19 minutes later have put Unai Emery's men in command.
Even though they've been criticised this year a lot.
Oeda there, doing well on the edge of the area, and Larin with a shot straight down the throat of Bizot.
That's poor from Cole Larin. I'd expect him to do a bit better in that situation. You know, he's hit it straight at the keeper. It was a really poor giveaway. Harvey Elliott played it inside, and then it gets taken. But I think one really, really bright spark for this Villa side is their backline crookie, because I think at times this year they haven't looked good on the attack, but their backline I think has been pretty solid. I think Konsa has been excellent this year. I think Matty Cash had a good season. Pau Torres has looked good in this competition as well. So I think their backline have been the positives that they can take.
And they look to have 2 very good goalkeepers as well. There are some clubs, Manchester United, who maybe don't have one.
Don't wind me up. I was in a good mood till then, Crookie.
Here's Gesson raiding down the right for Villa into the last minute of the 90. They lead by 2-0 in Rotterdam. It's going to be 6 points from 6 in the Europa League, and as I've said already, this is a competition that Unai Emery has an incredible record in, and they will be already amongst the favourites to go all the way. Certainly amongst the favourites to finish in the top 8 and qualify immediately for the round of 16.
I mean, it's what he does, isn't it, Emery? He knows how to get this competition won. He's done it with Villarreal, Sevilla. He just knows how to win European competitions.
Oh, here's Larin again. Is he onside? Shoots into the legs of Bizot. Hits Pau Torres, who clears off the line, but the flag did go up. It was Oeda with the through ball. He was clearly behind the last Villa defender. Let's get back to the City Ground. Penalty there, Ian Abrahams.
Forest 1, Midtjylland 3. Forest have the penalty. It's going to be taken by Chris Wood, and he's got the ball on the spot right now. By the way, chance after the third Midtjylland goal from the Forest fans to Postecoglou. You're getting sacked in the morning. Upstairs Wood, he scores. Forest 2, Midtjylland 3. 2 minutes into 5 have added on.
So still hope for Villa, for Forest, not much hope for Feyenoord here. 2-0 down. We're into 4 added minutes as Bizot, the Villa goalkeeper, launches it into the centre circle. It's been a really good second half performance from Unai Emery's team. He's still very animated, the Villa boss, as Lindelof goes flying into a tackle. Referee plays the advantage because Boss still had the ball, crosses into the box and it's cleared. I think had that been a free kick, Lindelof may well have been shown a yellow card. Feyenoord pushing for what surely now will be no more than a late consolation goal. Headed down by Oeda inside the area, couldn't find Larin, and it's cleared by Morgan Rogers to Donyell Marlon. Been a good outlet since coming on, Marlon, and he's scampering away down the right hand side here. Rogers has continued his run into the area, low crosses turned back to his own keeper by Watanabe. Donyell Marlon, another player looking to catch Unai Emery's eye tonight.
Yeah, and he's looking really, really good, and maybe, to second what Troy Deeney said, maybe that pressure will come from Marlon on Ollie Watkins.
Here's Haj Musa into the penalty area, well defended by Pau Torres. Pushes the ball back to Bizot, who clears.
He certainly looks like sharper, hasn't he, since he's come into this game. And can we say, Crookie, that this has been a professional performance from Villa? Because although I've been quite critical of them, and I don't think it's been the greatest of performances, this is a fantastic result. To go to Rotterdam and to win this game 2-0, that's a pretty solid performance from Aston Villa.
2 minutes of the 4 added on to play. Olays from the travelling Aston Villa supporters who've been enjoying the sights and sounds of Rotterdam throughout the course of the last couple of days, and certainly enjoying themselves now inside the stadium. It's going to be 3 successive victories after that winless start to the campaign. There's another yellow card here from the referee. Victor Lindelof penalised for that earlier challenge on Boss. Took him a while to remember, didn't it?
Yeah, that's a poor tackle for Victor Lindelof.
Unai Emery's Claret and Blue Army is the cry for the Aston Villa supporters. Lindelof inside his own half, being put under pressure, so just prods the ball back for Conter, and now Bizot all in yellow, wearing bright orange boots, the Villa keeper. Called off the bench after a late injury for Emi Martinez in the warm-up. He's going to get a 3rd clean sheet of the season. Here's Larin now on the edge of the area. Deep delivery headed away by Lindelof, who got his positioning on point there. Gesson back doing his defensive duty. We're into the last of the 4 added minutes. Villa leading by 2-0 away from home. And Boubacar Kamara plays it forward to Elliott. Swept on to Digne down his left-hand side. Looking for the run of Rogers, but stepping in was Ahmed Hodzic. Now or never for Feyenoord if they're going to get the ball forward and give the home fans something to cheer later on. Ahmed Hodzic stepping into the centre circle, and then Watanabe forward out to his left-hand side, and Boss coming infield but challenged by Gesson. Seconds remaining now. Ball forward by Watanabe, headed on the edge of the penalty area by Newcote, but straight into the arms of Bizot as the full-time whistle blows. It's 3 wins in a row for Unai Emery and Aston Villa. Back-to-back victories to kickstart their Europa League campaign and their season. Didn't have it anywhere near their own way in the first half. Feyenoord harshly having a goal from Ayase Oeda, ruled out for a foul on Matty Cash in the build-up as a corner was whipped in. But Villa taking full advantage of being on the right side of that decision. Emi Buendia scoring once again just after the hour mark, rifling into the bottom corner from the edge of the penalty area. And then John McGinn, for the 3rd game in a row, came up with the crucial second, 10 minutes from time. Full time in Rotterdam, scene of Villa's greatest ever European night. It finishes here, Feyenoord 0, Aston Villa 2.